All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Presque City Council meeting for Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. We have 7 out of 7 councilors present and a full house this evening, which is great. So let's start. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tim, it's not on. It's not on.
We good, Tim?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll push buttons.
Sure. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, first to the City Council. And if I could, I'd like to read a little letter if I could. Dear Kevin, on behalf of the City of Presque, I want to extend our deepest thanks and heartfelt appreciation for your years of dedicated service to our community and to local government. Your commitment to public service, thoughtful leadership, and steadfast advocacy for the people of Presque have left a lasting impact. City government depends on individuals who are willing to devote their time, energy, and insight to help guide our progress. Your work on the council has contributed to meaningful change and set a strong foundation for the future. We are grateful for your efforts, your voice, and the care you've shown for our residents and our shared home. Thank you for all you've done to support Presque. We wish you the very best in your next chapter and look forward to seeing you continue to inspire those around you. Kevin, would you mind coming up so we can present you with this lovely plaque?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Sure. Thanks, man.
Can I take a second? You mind if I take this?
Please do. Please do.
I'm really honored tonight to receive this award and plaque in recognition of the 8 years that I did on City Council. But more, that's elected by the citizens and stuff here, and I really am honored with that support. But more importantly, the panel here elected me either as chairman or vice chairman for 5 out of those 8 years. And the trust and the work that we all did together will be something that I'll really cherish. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you folks do in the next near term. And I know you have a long agenda tonight, and there's some great looking crowns in the room. So without further ado, I will bow out and ride into the sunset for now. Nice to see you, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks, Kevin. Okay, moving on. It looks like we have a presentation of the 2025 Presque Pageant Queens. We have a...
Mr. Chair, if I can invite Miss Presque Bobby Jarrett to come to the podium.
Please do. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Bobby Jarrett, and I have the privilege of serving as Miss Presque 2024. Today, I want to speak with you, not just as a title holder, but as a community member, a volunteer, and a young woman who has experienced firsthand the power of pageantry, and not only transformed my life, but the lives of those of others. To many, pageantry might just look like sparkly dresses, crowns, and smiling for cameras. And yes, that's a part of it, but behind the photos, the parades, there's something so much deeper. A commitment to leadership, service, and personal growth. This past year, the 6 young women who held the 2024 titles completed over 635 volunteer hours. I contributed 320 of those hours myself. That's 320 hours of cleaning parks, helping at Special Olympics, working with nonprofits, and attending community events. It was all work done, not because we had to, but because we wanted to. Because pageantry has taught us to lead by example and to use our voice for something greater than ourselves. One of our most successful events was the Harvest Moon pageant. Through this event, we raised over $2,000 for the Aroostook House of Comfort, supporting their mission to provide compassionate end-of-life care, and supporting the Hope and Justice Project. We collected thousands of essential items and donated them. It was incredibly rewarding to see your efforts make a real difference in the lives of others. Through pageantry, I've learned how to speak in a room full just like this. I've learned how to organize events and advocate for issues I care about and represent my community with pride and purpose. I've also had the honor of serving as a role model for younger girls who see and realize that beauty isn't just about how you look, it's about how you serve. Pageantry gives young women a chance to become more than they thought they could be. It gives them a reason to step up, speak out, and contribute. It turns everyday girls into leaders, mentors, and change makers. Thank you for your time and for your leadership and for believing in the future of our city and the young people who are helping it. As my time as Miss Presque comes to an end, I'd like to hand off the crown to your 2025 Miss Presque, Maggie Curry.
Good evening. My name is Maggie Curry, and I'm your new Miss Presque. I am so honored to be able to represent my community this year. This community is extremely important to me as I've grown up here my whole life. I have 2 family business here, a Rustic Testing and Consulting Laboratories and Curry Chemical Company. This community has got me to where I am today. I'm now a student at UMPI, and I'm a phlebotomist at the Northern Light AR Gold Hospital. And I'm just so excited to continue the legacy that these former queens have built. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Johanna Cody. I'm your former teen Miss Presque 2024. As a Presque Queen, I have been given the opportunity to not only represent the town of Presque, but to help our city of Presque continue to grow. Throughout this last year, my sister queens and I volunteered at many events throughout the city. We ran our own fundraiser pageant called the Harvest Moon Pageant to raise money for the Rustic House of Comfort and the Hope and Justice program. It was a very successful fundraiser. We raised $2,600 for the House of Comfort that was then matched and filled $15,000 in supplies, gift cards, and funds for the Hope and Justice program, which was also given to Northern Lighthouse and the homeless shelter. My sister queens and I attended multiple parades throughout the county. Through these parades, we represented the city of Presque. Anna and Bobby represented our city at the Potato Blossom Festival pageant. In doing so, they showed that Presque is a wonderful city filled with many opportunities and very talented people. I myself had the opportunity to represent our city at the Miss Maine's Teen Pageant. The Miss Maine's Teen Pageant is a preliminary pageant to the Miss America's Teen Pageant. This pageant grows and represents young women who are pushing to make a change in their state and our country. I ended up leaving with first runner-up, the Talent Award, and the Community Builder Award. I proved that someone from a small city in northern Maine can be just as successful as the people in other parts of Maine. Pageants not only benefit the city or town that is being represented, but also benefit the contestants and queens. Pageants grow the future generations of young women leaders. As someone who has competed in pageants since the age of 4, not only has it benefited my confidence and speaking skills, but it has helped me become the person I am today. I'm able to put myself out there and make friends. I'm able to share my opinions and my initiative to make a change in my community. It has grown my respect and love to help my community. To add to all that, as a queen and contestant, I have made so many new friendships around not only the county, but also the state of Maine. The sisterhood that comes from pageants is so incredibly strong. It is this amazing support family that will always be there for you. For example, when Raylan came and supported me at Miss Maine's Teen, which was all the way in Freeport, and when we all went to support Anna and Bobby at the Potato Blossom, all wearing our own special pins with their photos on them. In all, pageants do a lot more than just people think, whether it is for the contestants or the community. Pageants benefit everything around them greatly. Thank you for giving me this opportunity and time to share the benefits of pageantry and how much pageants truly mean. I would like to invite you guys to Sarah Cassie, who will be our Teen Miss Presque for 2025. Sadly, she could not be here today, but she will be your new Teen Miss Presque representing our city. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Addison Markey. I was your 2024 Junior Miss Presque. During my year of reign, I volunteered 78.5 hours of community service, and my favorite event to volunteer at was the Harvest Moon pageant because we got to help out charities like a Rustic House of Comfort and the Hope and Justice Project. And I would like to welcome Natalie Putnam, your current Junior Miss Presque 2025. Thank you.
I'm Natalie Mae Putnam. I'm Junior Miss Presque 2025, and I'm most excited to volunteering, especially at Girls on the Run.
Hello, my name is Kerrigan King. I was your pre-team with Presque 2024, and I volunteered 47 hours. And my favorite thing to volunteer at was the Children's Museum because the community could be welcomed to a new place. And I'd like to welcome Onasupa.
I'm Onasupa, pre-team Miss Presque. I'm most excited to volunteer at Girls on the Run.
Hi, my name is Anna O'Brien, and I'm your Little Miss Presque 2024. This year, I have volunteered 44 hours of volunteering, and my favorite thing to volunteer at was the Harvest Moon pageant because we got to raise a lot of donations for companies. Now I would like to welcome Rosie Supa, our new Little Miss Presque 2025.
Hi, my name is Rosie Super, your new Little Miss Presque 2025, and my favorite thing to volunteer at is the animal shelter.
Hi, my name is Raylan Kinney. I was Mini Miss Presque 2024. My favorite volunteering was the Miss Harvest Moon pageant, not the Miss Harvest Moon pageant.
Where did you like to volunteer? You're doing it. Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You did so good.
What was your favorite thing to do? Can you say that to me? Take a deep breath. You got this. Take 3 deep breaths.
Could you be her voice for her?
Raylan said her favorite thing to volunteer at was the Miss Harvest Moon pageant.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we need a step stool.
There you go.
I like to be a cop and go up. And then a broccoli. And then a broccoli.
That's good. Awesome.
And that's our Queen presentation for this evening.
Ladies, fantastic
Thank you.
job. Thank you so much for coming by this evening. What a treasure to have you folks visit us. This is just super. Thank you so much.
Good job.
Huh? I was in a hurry. Hold on.
Forget it on my
Yeah,
desk.
right.
Yeah.
It's on my desk.
Thank you.
That was great. So nice to hear those young voices too during the Pledge of Allegiance.
I thought the same
That
thing.
was fantastic. All right. Well. Everybody all set to move along? Okay. So now we'll begin the public hearing portion of tonight's City Council meeting with item number 1, to approve a marijuana license renewal to Matthew McGinley, doing business as Royal Leaf Apothecary with a location of 415 Main Street.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Code enforcement has no issues with this, and staff requests approval of this license.
Fantastic. Is there anybody from the crowd that would like to address us on this subject? Seeing none. Council?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the marijuana license to Matthew McGinley, doing business as Royal Leaf Apothecary, located on 415 Main Street.
Second.
Very well. We have a motion by Hank and seconded by Craig. Everybody fine with discussion? Seeing none, look for a vote. 7-0, motion passes. Okay, item number 2 on the public hearing is to approve a malt, spirituous, and Venice liquor license and special permit for music, dancing, and entertainment to Ignite Presque, doing business as Northeastland Hotel with a location of 436 Main Street.
Mr. Chair, our public safety team recommends passage.
Very well. Is there anybody from the audience who would like to speak on this? Okay. Seeing none. Council, looking for discussion for a motion?
I move that we approve a malt, spirituous, and vinous liquor license and special music permit for dancing and entertainment to Ignite Presque DBA, the Northeastland Hotel, located at 436 Main Street.
Second.
Motion made by Craig and seconded by Mike. All of those in favor? 7-0, motion passes. Okay, moving on to item number 3 is to approve a renewal application for a malt, spirituous, and Venice license for the kitchen and bath shop, doing business as Confectionately Yours with a location of 2 Reach Road.
Mr. Chair? Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
Mr. Chair, our public safety staff request approval for this license this evening.
Very well. Is there anybody from the audience that would like to speak on this one? All right, seeing none. Council?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve a renewal application for malt, spirituous, and vinous liquor license for the kitchen and bath shop, doing business as Confectionately Yours with a location of 2 Reach Road.
I'll second it.
Very well. We have a motion made by Mike and seconded by Hank. All of those in favor? 7-0, motion passes. Moving along to item number 4 is to approve a lodging establishment license to Ferdinand Martin, doing business as Martin's Manor. Sonia, would you care to
I'd be happy to, Mr. Chair.
help us with this one?
This is in reference to 72 Holton. Code enforcement is satisfied with the inspection that they have conducted on this property.
Very well. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Is there anybody from the audience who would like to address council in regard to the approval of a lodging establishment for the Martins at 72 Holton Road? Okay, seeing none. Council? All right. Looking for a motion?
Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve a lodging establishment license for Ferdinand Martin, doing business as Martin's Manor, located at 72 Holton Road.
Very well. Thank you, Meg. We have a motion by
Second.
Meg, seconded by Harold. All of those in favor? 7-0, motion carries. All right. That brings us to our citizen comment portion of tonight's council meeting. This is an opportunity for citizens to come forth and address the council with any concerns or anything they'd like to speak about. Usually try to keep them around the 2-minute mark and direct. Now's your time.
Hello, everybody. My name is Vincent Nguyen. I am a recent transplant from California, and I work for DFAS Limestone, but that's not really why I'm here. I just wanted to run by you guys. Have you guys heard about food sovereignty before? It may have been brought up a couple times in the past couple of years. Maybe it didn't get any traction here. But what I wanted to bring up is that basically we are the hub of Aroostook. This city is called that, right? But I've seen that a lot of people, they struggle to try to start up business here. You know, rent's expensive. Food licensing is difficult at sometimes, and you have to deal with the state. And so I was just wondering if you guys were interested in adopting a food sovereignty policy. I have a few packets here, but I'm not sure. Are any of you council members allergic to shellfish or anything like that? Okay, so I will refrain from passing on the packets because I may have touched shellfish at my own house, so I will withhold on that. But basically, I do have a few packets here that I want to show to you guys that I will drop by at the table here that will tell you guys about food sovereignty, how it's backed up, and what you guys can do if you want to support such a movement. In addition, we will be mentioning it again on point 24 under the new business section under approved resolution for the Community Resilience Partnership. That will get brought up again. And if you guys have any more questions or want any more information, I will be posting this on the Facebook page 9:30 p.m. tonight. So thank you for your time, and you know, this is what you could possibly get if you pass food sovereignty, because I do want to make a food this year. So thanks.
Very well, thank you. Thank you. Could I ask, what is that?
This?
Yeah.
This is a Vietnamese noodle soup called pho.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's just beef noodle soup.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anybody else?
This would be to talk about any future agenda items as well.
All right, making it easy for us. Okay, seeing none, we're gonna move on to the consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. My goodness, Kim, you should speak up.
I actually have some letters from people that are here. Would you guys like to come up and read your letters, or you want me to? Okay. I have 6 different letters. I have 2 that pertain to city manager position that I'll read first, and I'm reading them in order of how I received them.
Okay.
On April 28th, 2025, I have a letter from George Gartley. He says, "Dear sirs and ma'ams, I am writing to express my support for our current interim city manager, Sonia Eiler, and would like to see her continue as our city manager into the future. I recently had the opportunity to hear her speak and answer questions. I found her to be intelligent, well-informed, and to have a passion for the job and the city. Her vision for the future of the city, future of Presque was very much in line with my own. I also like the fact that she is a native of our community, understands its history, and has sunk her roots here. Our last city manager was an outsider, and I feel that was reflected in his approach of governance. Sonia has taken on her new position with commitment and competence, and I hope you will make the decision to keep her as our permanent city manager. Sincerely, George Gartley." Our second letter I received on May 5th. "To whom it may concern, please accept this letter as a recommendation for Louis Cousins for the Presque city manager position. I have been associated with the city of government for over 35 years and have noticed Louis work for many of those years. I have found that he is trustworthy, dedicated, willing, and eager to go above and beyond to help where he can. He pays close attention to details with his day-to-day tasks working for the city. He has a strong bond to our city and knows the people that he serves. He has proven that he has the willingness to assist them. I think that is not his knowledgement and experience is needed at this time for the city to move forward. He has been city tax assessor for many years, temporary city manager when needed, and had done excellent job at both. I would be very interested in discussion Louis's qualifications further at your convenience. He gave his number, and respectfully, Bruce Roop. Okay, now these next ones all pertain to the same, to number 14, basically, on our list.
Yep.
Okay, the first one I received on May 5th. Dear City Council members, we understand that Mr. Martin's license to operate a boarding house at 240 State Street is to be discussed at the May 7th meeting. His license to operate a boarding house at 240 State Street should be revoked for the following reasons. The building is in disrepair and obviously does not meet code requirements for occupancy. The outside is littered with debris, which clearly shows that Mr. Martin is not interested in maintaining the building. This creates an eyesore to an otherwise nice neighborhood. His property undoubtedly hurts the resale value of homes in the vicinity. Also, apartments in the area are more difficult to rent. Most importantly, the tenants at this boarding house are disruptive. The police visit and noise created is a concern. There are children in the neighborhood, and their safety and right to a drug crime-free street should be priority. Please maintain the safety integrity of this neighborhood by revoking Mr. Martin's license to operate a boarding house at 240 State Street. Sincerely, Terrence and Miriam Gregg, and they own 25 3rd Street Apartments. Okay, the next one I received on May 5th. Dear members of City Council, it has been brought to our attention that Mr. Martin's license to operate a boarding house at 240 State Street is being discussed at the May 7th council meeting. We are writing as a concerned resident to bring to your attention the ongoing disturbance in our community that are negatively affecting the safety, peace, and overall quality of life in our neighborhood. These disturbances have been any ongoing concerns and annoyance for several years. This was a lovely neighborhood with many homes on the historical site map that we encourage visitors to view. The character and charm of this area are part of what makes it so special. Like many residents, we've invested not just financially but emotionally in making this area a welcoming and beautiful place to live. Unfortunately, that peace is being regularly disrupted by the behavior of some tenants at 240 State Street because of the frequent shouting, vulgar language, and aggressive arguments. It's disheartening to invite family or friends to visit on the summer day and feel forced to go inside due to the shouting and profanity. Even working outside in the yard becomes stressful and unpleasant. We've spoken to many neighbors as well as citizens out for a stroll that say they avoid walking past our corner because of sometimes loud and offensive language. Some have even felt threatened by the content and tone of the conversation coming from the outside porch. In countless incidents, law enforcement and emergency responders have had to intervene due to the disruptive behavior, and some have resulted with arrest and ambulance transfers. If the police logs were reviewed, we are confident they would show up unprecedented proof of a long-term ongoing issue tied to this property. The volume and frequency of calls for assistance clearly demonstrates the extent of disruption to our neighborhood. These disturbances are also impacting us financially. We have found it increasingly difficult to rent our furnished apartments due to the environment being created next door. Prospective tenants are deterred by the noise, language, and visible disorder. In the long term, this is not only affecting our ability to maintain our property, but is also contributing to the decline in property values throughout our neighborhood. After speaking with Eric Martin about one of his tenants that has a very loud outburst that tend to be racist as well as vulgar, I was told he relocated the gentleman to his building as the tenants were complaining about the annoyance, and in this building, he could keep him further away from other tenants. However, now he is bothering our neighborhood. Mr. Martin explained to me that the individual had a mental condition, and this happens when he is off his meds. When I addressed the numerous visits to his building by the police, he told me that he could not control the homeless squatters that stay there. He also told me that he was doing the right thing providing housing for these people. Notwithstanding the plight of homelessness, it is unacceptable to expect any human being to live in squalor. There has to be a minimal standard for safe habitation, which in this case is blatant failure. If the city wants to support residents facing misfortune, mental illness, or in addition, it should do so in a way that is safe, structured, and supervised for the well-being of both those in need and the surrounding community. As it stands, this is not a sustainable or responsible solution. Frankly, we doubt that the city council members would feel safe spending one night in this building under current conditions or to live in the proximity of the building. This is not an isolated nuisance. It is a serious public safety and quality of life issue. How can the city allow this to happen in any neighborhood, particularly one near our public library and our downtown area? Why would we want visitors to take the historical walk and chance experience this disruption? We respectfully ask the city council to take meaningful action to restore safety and dignity to our neighborhood by not renewing Mr. Martin's license to operate a room and home. Thank you for your time, attention, and service. Respectfully, Susan and David Sosnick, 233 State Street. And then in support of the agreement, Charles Hetchman at 43 State Street, signed Judith Burley. One I cannot read, and Kelly Matthews. I'll sign that one.
Add my name, 45 Third Street, Barrow and Ricky Meadows. We've experienced that as well. It's a nightmare.
Okay, 2 more letters, almost done. On May 6th, I received this one. To whom it may concern, my name is Charles Boland, and I live at 229 State Street in Presque. I have concerns regarding the presence and conditions of the apartment structures in my neighborhood. The exteriors are not well maintained to the point of looking dilapidated. There seems to be no steady maintenance contract on these properties, and there is a huge pile of trash in the backyard of the 227 State Street, potential fire hazard. Based on my concerns, I support not granting the permit or license necessarily to make these buildings, homes available as apartments. This authorization should be withheld until the action to upgrade these structures are taken, followed by public safety inspections by the city. And then Charles Boland. The last one I received on May 7th is Rick and Johanna Lynn, 234 State Street. Dear council members, we are writing to this email to express our concern and hopefully reach a peaceful resolution regarding multiple derogatory issues, specifically with 227 State Street and 240 State Street. We, our children included, have been witness to a multitude of different scenarios and have played out over 6 years of living in our home, such as a multiple narcotic raids, multiple drug overdose, warrants being served, domestic disturbance, verbal tirades at all hours of the day and night, animal abuse, trespassers day and night on our property, specifically in the backyard, and numerous other scenarios in the past from both aforementioned addresses and at one time or another. We have contacted Presque Police Department multiple times, and although they respond, there has been no long-term solution to resolve the same scenario over the years. No blame on the police department or the officers. Martin's Manor has done the bare minimum at maintaining a positive optic in the community and even less at maintaining its visual footprint in the neighborhood. These 2 aforementioned addresses are in the state of disarray, and they degrade the homes around them due to the constant trash buildup and the uncared for landscaping, and these are just a couple of examples. The only times that these examples don't apply is when there is obvious warning issued, etc., by the town of Presque. We understand that everyone has a right to make a living, i.e. Martin's Manor, and we recognize that Martin's Manor provides a way for tenants to rent month to month with little commitment from the tenant to maintain any sense of awareness or concern for their behavior to the neighborhoods and or children that live in the residence in the area affected. Band-Aid solutions are not the answer to resolving this scenario mentioned. The only outcome with a Band-Aid solution is more of the same or even worse outcomes. We request that Martin's Manor not be granted an approval for lodge and established license or renewal. We are not trying to shut down Martin's Manor, but only to find a solution where all parties are satisfied with the outcome. An example, having month-to-month tenants only rent in structures that are away from neighborhoods that might alleviate the unneeded scenario that impacts the residents in the area affected. We want to express our hope for a positive resolution regarding this topic and want to thank the council members for their time and patience. Respectfully submitted, Rick and Johanna, Lynn. And that's it.
Very well. Thank you, Kim.
And that all the last part pertains when we get to 14.
Yep, absolutely. Very well. Before we wrap up citizen comment, last chance, anybody else? Okay, moving on to the...
Those that wrote letters, though, thank you for
Yeah,
sharing
absolutely.
your experiences with us.
Most definitely.
I've experienced it too, going down the street there, but I don't live there.
Great. Okay, the consent agenda portion of this evening's council meeting. We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like 10 items on the consent agenda. I don't know if it's the will of the council to address them individually or group them together or take them as a whole.
I think we got to just discuss 12 separately.
We can do that, Mike. Okay. I'll read down through them. Item number 5 on the consent agenda is to approve the minutes from the April 2nd, 2025 and April 15th, 2025 meetings. Number 6 is to approve 2025 warrants number 10 through 13 totaling $1,669,398.28. Item number 7 would be to appoint Andrew Flewelling as an alternate to the planning board. Item number 8 would be to appoint Jason Perry as code enforcement officer, building inspector, housing inspector, electrical inspector, local health officer, and plumbing inspector. Item number 9 would be to approve the warrant for the MSAD 1 school budget election, June 3rd, 2025. Item number 10 would be to approve taxi cab service license for Jeff Nichols, doing business as Jeff's Taxi. Item number 11 would be to approve taxi cab service license for Mark Carney, doing business as Carney's Taxi. And then 12 you wanted to discuss separately, Mike? Was that correct?
We just have to appoint somebody.
Okay. Number 12 would be to appoint one counselor and the resource development staffer, Kimberly Smith, to the NMDC board for 2025 through 2026. And item number 13 in the consent agenda would be to approve a road closure for Memorial Day Parade on May 26, 2025. So going back to item number 12, to appoint one counselor and the resource development staffer, Kimberly Smith, to the NMDC board. Is there any discussion on which counselor would like to?
I'd be interested if
Do that.
no one else is, but I don't know what your thoughts are.
I'd be willing to take a stab at it too, but yeah.
Well, I don't really know if we need a motion to pass 5 through 11 and then address 12 separately and then address 13 separately.
Well,
I
it
think
sounds like a
that's how
logical
that
idea.
goes.
Mr. Chair, I move we adopt items 5 through 11 and 13 as presented.
Very
I'll
well.
second that.
All right, a motion on the table made by Mike and seconded by Hank. Any discussion from the audience? Council? All right, all those in favor? 7-0, motion passes. All right, back to item number 12 on the consent agenda. We're looking for one counselor and the resource development staffer, Kim Smith, to the NMDC board for 25-26. Craig has expressed interest. If nobody else has or is interested, any discussion?
Do you want to do it?
How about a motion?
No, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
You're interested?
No, dude, we've discussed. We're done. It's him.
Huh?
We discussed. It's him.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we appoint Councilor Craig Green and the Resource Development Staffer Kimberly Smith to the NMDC Board for 2025-2026.
Thank you, Meg. That's what I was looking for.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Hank.
You're welcome, sir.
All right. All those in favor? 7-0. Motion passes. All right. There you go, Craig.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to old business. Let me catch up here. All right. Item number 14 in our old business portion is to approve license for lodging establishment to Martin's Manor of 4 properties.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, this is certainly the subject of many citizen issues this evening. Code enforcement, Timothy, has written a memo for you about deficiencies found in the building. And in response to councillor request, there is also in your packet a listing of what is owed for taxes. Staff have not made a recommendation for this in lieu of all these variables. And we ask the council to deliberate and make a decision.
Okay, so
I guess I'll add that I also reached out to our police department to see how many calls were at 240 State Street. So since January 1st of 2024, so what's that, 17 months, there's been 301 calls for service, 4 overdoses, 5 thefts, 5 disorderlies, 2 trespasses, 2 criminal threatenings, 1 protective order violation, 1 violation of the conditions of release, 3 domestics, and 2 criminal threatenings.
To confirm, you said 301?
301, yeah. Almost 1 a day.
Yikes. Okay. And this is at 240 State Street.
Yeah.
Okay, so following issues were found at the time of inspection and discussed with the owner.
Just to clarify, these are the ones that were conditionally approved but pending inspection, correct?
So, Mike, did you need or obtain similar information for the other ones, or is 240 State the largest issue?
That was the one I asked on because of the amount of complaints that I personally received.
All
right. Tim, were these items 1 through 4, the front door not latching, the wiring in the bathroom, unregistered vehicles, and snowmobile, furniture, etc., items that need to be removed? Were those all parts of the of last month's conditional approval?
So those are the items we found during the inspection.
Okay.
So what you have is what we found during the inspection for issues to be there.
So basically, we said at last meeting, we're gonna go inspect your buildings.
Correct.
Yep.
And all 4 of them, after he was received that notice, had obvious life safety issues. So it wasn't like we just randomly showed up. He knew we were coming.
Right.
I'm gonna just say I've been on council for 10 or 11 years. We've been dealing with the Martin family since the beginning. I feel like we have tried to be very sympathetic. We've tried to work with them. We've listened. We've understood the financial challenges that they got themselves into. Took Eric at his word that he was working hard to fix it. But things are just getting worse and worse and worse. And I would say that this is not right for our community, but it's also not right for the neighbors and for the people that are living in these buildings. They're not safe, and he's not doing things to address issues. And I know he'll slander me and make fun of my disability on the internet because he's done that before when I've spoke against him. and that kind of shows you what type of person he is. But I think we cannot allow the Martin family to continue operating their housing as they are. It's not safe for our community. So I'll be voting no on renewing these three. And it's not going to be a conditional no, it's going to be a no.
All right, is it the wish of the council to address these properties separately or as one batch? We also have a 227 State Street property.
Again, multiple life safety issues.
Yep.
Trash.
We have
Failing roof.
You have 72 Holton Road.
42 Winter Street property.
Could Tim just give a once-over of all these again, just for the public?
Sure. Tim, would you be willing to give us a once-over on all of these properties here, just to be on the record? And
You want just the address?
well, we've got, let's see, the first one being 240 State Street, 227 State Street, 5 Exchange Street, and, oh goodness, I just...
42 Winter.
42 Winter, yeah.
42 Winter, thank you, Meg.
Okay. So by overview, what's anything specific that you're looking for?
What's the shape of these places today?
So you have photos of the things we pointed out in our, and
Okay.
the structures are in disrepair. Some are being repaired slowly but surely. So
I mean, we've got broken windows, drug use paraphernalia found in multiple areas, GFCIs that don't work, rotten roofs, unregistered vehicles.
what we
junk.
found is in those memos.
Yeah. So structurally, are they sound enough for anybody realistically to be in there?
Structurally, I don't see any issues. And our inspection doesn't go into the basement to check the foundation or anything like that. Structurally, yes. 240 did have like some safety issues with the front door not having a doorknob and latching anymore. We told him about it. He's supposed to get it fixed. I don't know if it has yet. We haven't gone back for a reinspection. Other places have like the wiring issues. Actually, the photos from that in the bathroom were in 240 State. So each place has its own issues. 227, for example, the major issues are the trash and unregistered cars and junk in the back, stuff like that. Inside, there was fairly minor. Keep in mind that these structures are old. They're not brand new, and they're not required to meet today's codes. We check for major life safety issues, fire extinguishers, fire smoke alarms, stuff like that. Try to make sure they're up to date and things like that. So.
I think so, yes.
check for mold? Is that one of your,
We do not.
so if the water's running through the building and there's mold there, it's no way for you to?
No.
Because the water is running through the building. There's no glass in the windows, there's trees growing off the garage roof. I mean, there's got to be mold.
I assume if mold is found or reported and found, then something can be done. or
Right.
action.
There's processes to take care of that.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, there's mold everywhere. So is there mold in the building? Yes, probably. Is there major water leaks that were evident for 240? No, not necessarily. But keep in mind that it can run down the middle of the wall and you can't see that. So.
So in these things noted are just one aspect of determining the licensure, with the complaints being another aspect.
Yes.
Okay.
How much is owed?
The Martin properties owe $93,285.18 in taxes.
On those ones?
No, just total for all their properties.
Right, so, but on this, or
Yeah,
no,
no.
everything they owe
That's
in
all
town.
their properties.
All the properties, okay.
Well, yeah, I think you gotta take each property
Yeah.
separately, but where I was going with that, Tim, is if you were skimming through this and you looked at 240 State Street, it says front door did not latch, building is unsecured. Wiring and bathroom is open and unprotected. There's an unregistered vehicle and snowmobile and furniture on the porch needs to be removed. Taking that by face value, and by no means am I advocating for one, but that does not seem like an extreme thing.
They're
So-
all,
so that's
those
why I was
items are all,
hoping you could explain.
yeah, those are all fairly small items. The trick is actually getting them to be taken care of.
Okay.
Like that'll take us the next 3 months probably, and we'll only probably get half of it.
So, I mean, Tim, can we say you must create a corrective action to address these issues, or we will not renew your license? And I mean, I don't want to throw a bunch of people on the street at all. But I don't want to just keep kicking this can down the road where we're just like turning our head and allowing this to continue.
Correct. At 5 Exchange last year, he was required to repair the fire escape, and he did so. It took majority of the summer to get it completed, but he did so. I mean, you very well could. I would set a defined date on which you want these to be completed, at which we can go forward. So that is definitely, that'll result in a conditional license, or you deny him, set up a corrective action, and then come back later for approval.
So
I feel like that's what we did last month, was gave him the deadline. Here was the corrective action that had to be taken. He still didn't do it, to your point earlier, Mike. And I feel like the standard you set is the least you allow. And this doesn't seem like a city-worthy standard.
So,
in my opinion.
majority of these items were probably well known beforehand, but we're not necessarily, from the council meeting to when we dealt with them, they, like, unregistered car, we give a standard 30 days. So it wouldn't have, even if we would have done it the day of the council, by the time we did the inspection, we wouldn't have required that to be taken care of at that time, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense.
Okay, yep.
That being said, it does mean that he didn't know about it previous to that.
My concern is the police calls, just on its own. And I remember, this is in the same category as like hotels, correct?
Yes, falls under the same
Yeah,
ordinance.
so I remember very specifically when we were enacting that, and we had some issues up at the old Keddies, and some of those hotels, they were even concerned if they were gonna have 2 or 3 on their record, and if that would affect their, their potential for lodging license. We have 300, well, if you look
So
at it over a year.
There's a
250.
definition and standard within the ordinance, and I don't know that right off the top of my head. I learned about these calls earlier, I think it was yesterday. So I can't speak to them and to what, if they meet that standard. So that would be something that the police department would have to kind of notify us on in between.
Yeah,
Which,
we definitely need to.
Is that the lodging license thing we passed, you mean?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, because we passed that in with the purpose that we wouldn't have these ongoing calls at establishments in the community, and we mainly had centered it around lodging that would be hotel rooms, but I think this would also come under the same type of thing because it's excess. It was kind of a 3 strikes and you're out, and it was also, I believe, dependent on corrective action that those behaviors didn't happen again. And if it's happening almost once a day, then that certainly, 300 calls in just over a year, that certainly is not being handled. So at the 240 State Street.
I guess I made an assumption, whether it be correct or not, that there was going to be active monitoring of those numbers, and that we would be notified. I mean, it's not like we have 100 places that obtain a lodging license, so it's very easily, I would think, through reports and that for us to be notified. I don't know. That might be another topic, but.
But nonetheless, I think we've already passed the necessary item to have corrective action.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at each of these properties and what you have here, it wouldn't take any more than 2 or 3 solid days to have most of this stuff taken care of and done.
It's on the list.
Yeah.
But there's more than is on this list.
Yes.
Recognize that beside these 227, 240 for 20-some years, and this isn't anything that's new. I mean, this is an ongoing problem. That's been going on for years, and he keeps getting warned and slapped in the back of the wrist, and he fixes a couple things, and then it's done with.
There was an unregistered vehicle in that driveway for probably 5 years. The city, that I called and talked to the city manager over and over again until finally the city told him that if he didn't move it, they would move it and charge him.
Mr.
He
Chair.
He never moved it. Then he moved it.
I am currently looking at Chapter 63, the Lodging Establishment License Ordinance that was referred to earlier, Section 5, the standards for denial, suspension, or revocation. It includes, this is Section 5A, paragraph 5, 2 or more unresolved incidents recorded by a governmental entity for a non-hotel lodging establishment, and 5 or more unresolved incidents in the preceding year for hotels with 40 rooms or more during the immediately preceding year where the licensee's business operations endangered the safety of persons in or on areas surrounding the place of business that have been found to be valid by the police chief. Previous to that, paragraph 4 talks about 2 or more unresolved incidents, same non-hotel lodging establishment. Breaches of the peace, disorderly conduct, vandalism, or other violations of law on or in the vicinity of the licensed premises and caused by persons patronizing, visiting, or implied by the licensed premises that have been found to be valid by the police chief. Based on those standards for denial, suspension, or revocation in the existing ordinance, I believe that these properties do not qualify for licensure.
Are we allowed to table the topic until later in the meeting?
I would say we just kind of like deny it and then speak with the solicitor on what we can do going forward.
Well, I if it was this extreme, I would hope that there were some conversations and actions, possible actions put in place. Because it sounds like, I'm guessing, should you read down through that, there's a specific warning or notification based on whatever the issue is. And I'm not sure that specific.
Would it be helpful to receive printouts so everyone could have that specific language in front of them, and then we come back when people have this language in front of them? It does say, upon hearing the evidence, the city council may decide to suspend, revoke, or take no action on the pending case by the majority of city councilors present at the hearing. I agree. I think this ordinance would be very helpful to actually have us
You've got to make sure that you're
take a look
doing
at,
it
make sure
properly,
we're
or
in
you don't have any
compliance
teeth.
with it.
Right.
Yep.
Is that something that you and Mr. Courier might be able to figure out in the next half hour? If that's even allowable? To see what has qualified and what has not qualified, and what would need to be done to start that ticker, should it need to.
I can go pull up the ordinance and get print offs for you.
Are they currently operating unlicensed in these 4 properties?
Keep in mind that it's conditional at the very moment, so they would be
So-
good
so
until
they're-
today.
Okay.
So as of, depending on your action, they will be operating unlicensed or licensed tomorrow. Or if you take no action,
So if
They'll
we,
be operating unlicensed regardless.
if we do decide to suspend or revoke, where does that leave the current residents with these properties?
I couldn't answer. So our process would be to notify him that he's now in violation and seek corrective action for that. What that course may look like, I don't know, like what that corrective action may look like. I mean, in some of these, again, the violations that we've listed are fairly minimal and could take just a few days to resolve.
Yeah.
Although 4 properties, it will probably take longer than that. So, but we would follow our process as outlined in the ordinance and issue violation that you're in violation of that ordinance.
Right.
So,
And just to be clear, the only one that I know is in violation of, you know, the police statute and complaints is 240 state. That's the only one that I asked on. So.
And then in the concerns with the disruptive behavior of the tenants, those are violations that are all separate from a lodging establishment license. So what?
Within the lodging, what
so-
she just read, if the tenants have these issues and it happens more than 5
so
times.
that is that is the landlord's responsibility then,
Correct.
in essence.
I'm correct in that.
So, and Mr. Martin is not here.
May I ask a question real quick? Or
Yeah, sure.
Make a statement?
Yeah.
My name is Rick Lynn, this is my wife Johanna.
Yep.
All right, we live at 234 State Street, and we've lived there for 6.5 years now. We moved from the Oakland, California Bay Area. I've been a federal officer for 35 years almost, coming up. And I work most of my time on the Southern California border, all right? And so for us, we came here with aspirations that things were gonna be different. And we have gradually seen the increase in foot traffic, vehicle traffic. We know what's going on,
Yep.
all right? Maine DEA makes raids,
Yep.
everything.
Yep.
And it's getting worse. And as you were saying, kicking the cans down the street is not gonna suffice, right, anymore. I'm just wondering, we have children that live at our house, all right? And we have to worry about our children all
Sure.
the time, just in this world in general, all right? But because unfortunately, we bought our house online without seeing it first, and we had a good friend of ours do a walkthrough for us. But all we got was street view. It looked amazing, right? Until we moved there, and then we realized, oh boy, we made a possible mistake. We've actually thought about selling our house because we can't do this anymore. It's gotten to the point where I've been rushed by a tenant from 240 State Street because I addressed her because she was yelling at my children. All right, I've called the police multiple times. I've run out of options, and as a federal officer, I don't want to have to work off duty, right?
Understandable.
And so at the end of the day, I'm utilizing my resources. I tried to put a fence up to protect my children, all right, from the outside. Maybe we should put a fence up around their property. But either way, it's not gonna fix the problem, all right? So I just wanna address the fact that, listen, we have children, and the most important thing to us is our children's safety.
Absolutely,
right?
yep.
So if you continue to allow this guy to have after action, all right, it's still gonna be the same.
Yep.
If it's been going on for longer than we've lived here. So I'm sorry to address you guys as such, but at the same time, this really needs to be addressed on a permanent solution. Where they live, I know that's terrible. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you guys, but for our community where we live, I'd rather them not live there. All right, because, and obviously he's not putting any money into it until you guys call him out on it. And then he does, like I said in my letter, Band-Aid solutions until the next complaint. So, thank you for your time. I
Understood,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion if I may.
Yeah, go for it.
Mr. Chair, in accordance with Chapter 63, Lodging Establishment License Ordinance, page 6, Section 5B, I would like to move that we begin the process for revoking or suspending a non-compliance licensed lodging establishment for Martin's Manor properties at 240 State Street, 227 State Street, and the other two I don't remember, 42 Winter Street and 5 Exchange Street. If there is a second, I will explain further.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made by Meg and seconded by Hank. And let's, is there discussion you would like to
I'll explain
further explain?
what the process has in the ordinance, which includes the licensee has 10 calendar days to submit a written plan of action to remedy the status of noncompliance with this ordinance. And then failure to supply an appropriate plan of action deemed sufficient by city staff shall result in a petition to the council to schedule a suspension revocation of license. So basically, he gets 10 days to come up with a plan. That also gives us time to get all of the details from all of the other 3 properties on in compliance with this standing ordinance of the number of calls of disturbances to the other 3 properties that we don't currently have. So we have all of the information in place to continue with the process as it has been written out.
Okay. So this goes with behavioral actions as well as repairs and everything else?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it clarifies if those are 2 separate notices or non-compliance. You know, you fix the property issues, but you still haven't fixed the noise, if that still continues on.
Yeah, I think they're 2 separate items, to be
I
honest.
would
I
think.
think they probably are too, but if we start this process, then that gets that rolling
Yep.
with this, and then, so maybe there's a separate issue having to do with this safety ordinance that you're talking about.
Yep.
But if we can get action on this piece that has more to do with the neighborhood complaints, then at least we're taking action that moves this ball.
So you've already given them conditional, it wasn't resolved,
Right.
at least part of it. So we need to begin the process of shutting it down.
Yep.
So,
Can I ask you guys one thing?
Mhm.
I can tell you right now that guaranteed the police calls are pretty equal, alright, to 240 as it is on the other ones, alright? So if you pull the records, I'm sure that you guys will be probably amazed at how many times those significant resources are being utilized for nonsense that shouldn't be going on. Other tax-paying residents and citizens need to have that available to them.
Yeah.
And when you're taking minimum staffing at the police department and utilizing it for other sources instead of the actual resources that they could be potentially helping, it takes away from everybody else.
Madam City Manager, could you speak with the police chief in the morning and recall those 4 properties for us?
I sure can. I'll get the necessary information for you as soon as possible. I understand that this is a very difficult situation because we're talking about human beings. And there's 2 separate issues here. There's the condition of the place, and then there are the humans that live there that seem to present with serious mental health challenges. So it doesn't feel good to take action. It also doesn't feel good to reflect on years and years and years of inaction. And your action tonight, if you pass this, will give us the opportunity to take some meaningful action that will address things in a way that will make some change.
and if I may, just say, like on the mental health aspect, that's clearly a problem that we're having an increase, and the state has increased the hoops for someone to be evicted, but also for them to obtain treatment. And their willingness, they can go enroll themselves in a treatment plan and then, resolve themselves in 5 days, vacate, all just starts over again. And it's not, it's not the 1960s. We can't chain them to something, which
It's a
is
serious,
not proper.
Yeah, it's a
But-
serious social problem.
So I do feel for the Martins because he, I'm sure, is trying to make a living, and it's a much larger problem with state funding and federal funding, but unfortunately it has specifically impacted these, and the law's there. We have to follow through with it.
And if I may, We do want to guard the civil rights and the rights of everybody that has any sort of mental health, where they live. We honor them as humans. But I think we need to move into a season where we honor our neighborhoods and we restore some peace for our citizens who are doing all the right things to the degree that we are able to do that. When our friends and neighbors have no peace in their own home and they don't have a sense of safety, I feel personally a sense of failure as interim city manager, that we are not doing enough. And I don't know what enough is, but it is this body this evening that we are asking for some help so that we can actually do more. There is a school of thought, however, that if we disturb these properties, we then have created a bigger unhoused issue. So there is a domino effect, and I do believe we will need to take this under advisement among many social agencies to make sure that we do our due diligence.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I think we absolutely need to do the right thing for the folks that are living, for the neighbors, for everyone. But I mean, I think we also need to reflect that, like we did a conditional approval on 4 Martin properties, and all 4 of them had issues. We did a conditional approval for the Shore Stay Hotel, Charles and Tracy Halverson, Clark's Lodge, Presque Hotel, and none of them had any issues. So there's a pattern here, and it's.
Yep.
Most of the people that stay at 240, other than maybe 2, they come and go constantly. They stay for a week and then they're gone. They're not permanent residents there.
Well, that's a lodging house.
Right, so what I'm saying, it's not like you're putting a lot of people out of a home, because most of them come and go. It's a constant come
Yeah,
and go.
I'm gonna disagree with that, but.
Mr. Chair, I'd
Mr.
like to call the vote.
Yep.
May, can you reread your motion? I'm sorry.
Kim, could you reread my motion?
You read that, I don't have that in front of me.
Okay, fair enough.
Mr. Chair, while she's getting that, I would like to point out that the revocation and suspension is typically a process that's used once it has been approved. Their license has not been approved. Although I will agree that that is probably a fair place to start at this time. So just bear in mind that it's a process that's used in a different situation, although I do think it would be a fair process at this time.
What you're saying is that we should approve it and then revoke it?
No.
No.
I think that's too many steps.
No, so essentially, we're not taking action
No.
on the
But-
suggested motion. We're replacing this motion with Meg's motion.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so the motion as it stands is that in accordance with Chapter 63, Lodging Establishment License Ordinance, page 6, Section 5B, we begin the process for revoking or suspending a non-compliance licensed lodging establishment for Martin's Manor, located at 240 State Street, 227 State Street, 5 Exchange Street, and 42 Winter Street.
Motion made by Meg, and
I'll
I
second
believe
it.
was seconded by Hank.
And with that, the conditional approval ceases, and as of tomorrow, they're operating unlicensed.
They're unlicensed right now because they don't have.
Well, we
Well,
had
this is
we
a
had given it
separate-
a
No,
conditional
the
approval.
contingent
They're
was
under
up until we
conditional.
made a decision, and now that we've made a decision, then now they're operating without a license.
Okay.
Right, and we'll start that corrective action process,
Okay.
which.
Mr. Chairman, I need to abstain from the vote because of a conflict of interest with this situation.
Very well. Duly noted. Okay. Any further discussion? All right. So motion is made and seconded. Craig is going to abstain. All of those in favor? 6-0 with 1 abstention. Motion carries. Very well, thank you. Excuse me. Good. Nice motion. All right, moving on to item number 15 in old business is to approve a license for lodging establishment to Charles and Tracy Halverson. And Sonia, would you Do you have anything on this one?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. So this was one of the conditional licenses that was to appear this month before you for approval.
Yep.
However, Charles and Tracy Halverson have not been successful in getting an inspection scheduled until Wednesday or Thursday, I believe.
Okay.
So we ask that you table this and we place it on the June agenda.
Very well.
So, Mr. Chairman, I move we table the approval of a lodging establishment license to Charles and Tracy Halverson.
I'll second that.
Which would mean they're
Is that-
obtaining a conditional during this period
I
of
would,
time?
yes, I would request that it would be a conditional.
Okay.
There is no problem, code enforcement has no problem with this establishment whatsoever, and neither does public safety. It simply was a scheduling issue.
Sure. Okay.
And this is the property at 12 Church Street, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll amend my motion to reflect the conditional license.
All right, motion has been made by Craig.
I'll still
and
second it.
Seconded by Hank. Is there any further discussion? All right, all of those in favor? 7-0. Motion passes. Very well. Okay, on to item number 16. Let me see here. Okay, we're looking to approve a license for lodging establishment to Clark's Lodge. And this was also a conditional license, correct, Sonia?
Yes.
And have they been able to satisfy those conditions?
Yes, our code enforcement officer has no issues with with Clark's Lodge, and we recommend approval.
Very well.
No.
Is there anybody from the audience that would like to speak on this one? Okay, seeing none. Council?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve lodging establishment license for Roger Susi doing business as Clark's Lodge.
Second.
Motion made by Hank and seconded by Craig?
Mike.
Mike?
Mike.
Mike seconded. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? 7-0, motion passes. Okay, item number 17 is to approve a license for lodging establishment to Sure Stay Hotel by Best Western. And this was another one that was a conditional approval. Sonia, have they been able to satisfy all of those conditions?
Yes, Mr. Chair, and code has no issues with this structure, and we recommend passage.
Very well, thank you. Anybody from the audience like to speak on this one? All right, seeing none, council?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve a lodging license for the establishment to Midget Dillon at DBA Sure Stay Hotel Best Western.
Motion made by Craig,
Second.
seconded by Meg. Any further discussion? All right, all of those in favor? 7-0, motion carries. Great. Item number 18 is another approval for license for lodging establishment to the Presque Hotel. Sonia, this was also one of those conditional approvals, correct?
Yes.
And has the Presque Hotel satisfied all of those concerns?
They sure have. Code enforcement has no issues with this establishment, and we recommend passage.
Very well, thank you very much. Is there anybody from the audience that would like to address the council on the Presque Hotel? All right, council?
Mr. Chair, I recommend approval of lodging establishment license to Emirate Dillon, doing business as Presque Hotel at 116 Main Street.
Great, thank you, Meg.
Second.
Seconded by Harold. Any discussion? All right, all of those in favor? Looks like 7-0, motion carries. Great, thank you very much. On to item number 19, to appoint, let me see here. Appoint the Downtown VPI Preliminary Engineering Committee as follows. Councilor Green, Councilor Chassis, City Engineer Dana Fowler, Public Works Director Nathan Bond, Citizen Fred Haynes, Superintendent of the Presque Utilities District Ross McQuaid, and UMPI President Raymond Rice, Interim City Manager Sonia Eiler.
And I have one other quick thing on that.
Sure.
I also, we had originally had Lewis on the committee when we were first starting all of this.
Okay.
And reason being is the impact on the community downtown and the buildings and the taxable value of certain properties, as well as the other financial parts of it. So I'd like to add his name as another person on the financial end of the city information to be on the committee as well.
All right. Anybody from the audience like to address council on this one? None? Okay. Council, looking for a motion?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to appoint Councilor Green, Louis Cousins, Councilor Chassis, City Engineer Dana Fowler, Public Works Director Nathan Bond, Citizen Fred Haynes, Superintendent of PI Utilities District Ross McQuaid, UMPI President Raymond Rice, and Interim City Manager Sonia Eiler to the Downtown VPI Preliminary Engineering Committee.
Very well, thank you, Harold. Motion made by Harold,
I'll second it.
seconded by Hank. All of those in favor? 7-0. Great, thank you very much. And the last item in old business is item number 20, and that is to schedule and review a public hearing for ordinance Chapter 3 amendments. Oh, the Chapter 3 amendments. Sonia, would you be willing to brief us on this one, please?
Certainly. So the only thing we're really asking for tonight is to schedule a public hearing for June, but in your packet is the proposed verbiage for Chapter 3, so that you can review that ahead of time. It simply adds some clarification for 2/3 vote, and it adds clarification for if you have a counselor that is unable to attend for whatever reason, what the 7 qualified counselors.
Yep.
And that in the event the full council is not seated, 2/3 vote shall mean no fewer than 4.
Perfect.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I move that we schedule a public hearing for ordinance Chapter 3 amendments for our June meeting.
Thank you, Meg. Motion made by Meg.
I second.
Mike?
Seconded by Mike. All of those in favor? 7-0. Motion carries. Very well. Great, thank you. Okay, moving right along to new business. Item number 21 is a presentation from Communications Media Officer Sean Cunningham. Sean, come on up. Tell us what you got.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Are these, looks like there's maybe a couple there.
Okay. Good evening, counselors. Good evening, city staff and general public and all of those watching from home. My name is Sean Cunningham, and I am the Communications and Media Officer for the City of Presque, directly out of the Office of Communications, which provides communication of any decisions, discussions, and information relating to city business. And that includes statutory public notifications, any responses to comments received from the PR to any city decisions and/or discussions, information relating to the development, approval, amendment, or termination of a policy. The department has created several pieces of signature in-house digital creative content since I've joined on board last year, including Presque is Open for Business, Star City Stories, Adventures in Aroostook County, and Star City Live. For the first time ever, interviews with candidates running for open seats on the Presque City Council, both last year and most recently this past March, were conducted and posted online, allowing voters the opportunity to learn more about the individuals running for open seats and what they could and would do if elected. Each of these projects has received popular attention, growing audience numbers, and highlighting business, community, economic development, and political impact happening in our own Presque and even throughout the Northern Maine region. Social media, viewership across all social media platforms. The city now has a presence, and that presence is up. It's on the rise. We now have a presence on Facebook, as you know. We have an active YouTube. Well, hello to our YouTube viewers out there. TikTok and Instagram. And we're planning on adding LinkedIn and reestablishing a new account on X. What we've accomplished in 2024, March through December of last year, the City of Presque Facebook page alone had 651,000 views. The City of Presque ending last year had 140.7 thousand reach of up to 1.1,000%. What we've accomplished so far from January to this week, May, the City of Presque Facebook page has 777,000 views. The City of Presque Facebook page has had 19.1 thousand page visits, 77,000 reach, and just in the past month, the page has had nearly 233,000 views. That's up nearly 21% with a reach of 44.2 thousand, up 77%. Again, that's just in the past 28 days. Star City Stories has covered a variety of things, including Snowball 2025, Poetry Out Loud at the Library, a Rustic Sportsman Show, political profiles with candidates running for those open seats, as I just mentioned. That had a huge impact with nearly 8,000 views on Facebook. That was just Facebook, not just on YouTube, between the three candidates who did agree to be interviewed. In fact, City Councilor Harold Hull alone had more than 3.5 thousand views on Facebook alone. But that's not just all that we do. We did city promotional videos for microloan program, the benefits of coming to the clerks for municipal help, and we were there for the Presque Resilient Workshop. But we are also doing community engagement. We created new trifold brochures, as you're seeing there, for both the City of Presque and the Presque Downtown Revitalization Committee. We're marketing our own in-house opportunities and programs. I've become the point person to launching a new cost-free banner program that's being rolled out this summer. We're currently creating and designing the 2024 City Report, the annual report. As you can see, that's the draft. Coordinating the return of Government Day at Presque City Hall. We did that this past year with Presque High School student government, their faculty advisor, and SAD1 superintendent, Ben Greenlaw, attending. They toured the building, met with city staff, some of our counselors as well, department heads, to learn all about the range of services and historic student government meeting. They had that here for the first time in council chambers. And that's pivotal because I think it shows that we once again want to be connected to our community. These are our future generation, our future leaders, residents, taxpayers, business owners, workforce. And a lot of them had never been here before, had never engaged and interacted with us, but they had that opportunity, and we are reintroducing that tradition again. We honored our local youth with certificates of achievement at the Miss Presque pageant. That's why they were here following up on that. And we'll be expanding that in a few weeks to the graduating class and students at Presque High School. We're creating partnerships with Aroostook tourism groups that'll help promote adventures in Aroostook County. But also, last week, just at the Aroostook Tourism Summit, we were recognized for being a great new media resource highlighting tourism in this region by ACT and the heads of the Maine Association of Tourism and Office of Tourism, Film, and Outdoor Recreation, voicing that they want to continue to grow a partnership with us, stay connected, share information, increase our visibility for PI and this region collectively and collaboratively. These are huge connections and opportunities that we can leverage for our benefit and our business agenda. The Office of Communications is partnering with the Presque Downtown Revitalization Committee on a number of community projects, and I think you've started to see the change and feel the buzz. We are boding well in opening economic development opportunities for the city, including our upcoming Memorial Day Parade, where we'll be announcing some great opportunities and news that'll honor our local veterans. Stay tuned for that. I don't want to give that away necessarily. Our upcoming 2025 Rocking on Riverside Summer Concert Series, our continued partnership with the Chamber, hey Chamber, for Fiddlehead Festival, which will be included in expanding all marketing opportunities for the City of Presque Isle, and a renewed partnership with that organization. A big celebration bash on July 3rd, where we'll have a rededication of Presque Isle as an all-American city. and a lot more. So those are just a few of the things that we've been doing at the end of last year and the beginning of this year. But it's an exciting time to be in Presque, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to help promote us. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sean.
John, you're doing a great job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right. Up next in our new business portion is item number 22, to approve a service dog policy for the Recreation Department. Sonia, would you like to bring us up to speed on this?
Absolutely.
Actually, it looks like our
Yep.
new
Sorry,
rec director.
I may have jumped the gun. I apologize.
It's okay. Welcome to the podium.
Yes, thank you.
This is our recreation director, Steve Sampson.
Steve,
and
welcome.
He is here tonight to walk you through this request.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council. As in your handout, you'll see from a memo that I've typed up for you, I had been directed to look at the use of animals in our facility, specifically our recreation facility at the Sargent Family Community Center, in regard to animals in general and specifically towards service dogs. I did some research and working between doing research, our legal team, our administrative team, we developed this policy. I then presented that policy to the Recreation and Parks Advisory Board, and it was reviewed and approved on April 15th, and the policy has began being enforced the following day on April 16th. It's a wonderful policy. It directs our staff on usage of animals in our facility when it is appropriate, when it is not appropriate, and empowers them to enforce those policies.
Okay. And this came about because of people presenting animals that were not actually entitled to the term or the ability to be a service dog. Is that correct?
Yes, to a degree, yes. It's to answer several questions, but when is animals permitted to be in the facility, when it is not permitted to be in the facility? That is partially one of the reasons why that policy went into place, was when helping staff define what is a service animal and what you can legally ask an individual, define that. And even if an individual is a legal service animal, is there still opportunities when that service animal can be removed from said facility? And that's why we've done that research. In addition to that, there's also times when animals are permitted that are not service dogs in our facilities, specifically when there is like a program going on. I can tell you right now, we have a dog obedience class that goes on at the Sargent Family Community Center. Now, it's obviously not service animals, but that is a time when animals would be permitted because they're for a specific program for said animals.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd add a little more clarity. I had an interaction with my real service dog with one that wasn't real at the rec department, and it was an aggressive interaction, not caused by my service dog. And just being somebody that has a real service dog that's had a lot of training, all it takes is one bad interaction like that, and it can end the career or make it difficult for a service dog to continue working. So I would just say I think we should not just apply this to the rec department, but all city buildings. And I think it's straightforward. People have service dogs because they need the help that they will provide them. I don't bring mine to council meetings because I don't think she'd like to be jammed underneath this desk. But I've got a good reason for a service dog, and a lot of the ones that are out in public, they're not real, and the user doesn't have the same need that I do, and it has a higher chance to create challenging interactions.
Right, but
Yeah.
you're talking like every dog, right?
What's that?
As far as being in the buildings and everything else?
Yeah,
'Cause-
I don't think that
But what I can say is that my dogs wouldn't react like that with your dog.
Right.
So realistically, you're looking to ban everybody's dog, whether they take the time to train them and work with them or not, and saying no.
I would say in a public place that has people, there's risk with having animals in those buildings.
There's risk
Whether
having them down to the Peace Park.
Huh?
There's a risk down to the Peace Park. I mean, if you have people in there with dogs that aren't well-mannered and well-behaved, you're going to have an issue there too.
So do you think we should just allow any dog into city property?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you have a dog that is well-mannered and well-trained, then you could probably see some leeway. But if you've got a dog that's not behaved, and I mean, you can tell because if they're yanking on that chain or pulling on a collar, obviously they aren't listening to much.
How do you define, everyone's opinion of well-behaved is different, unfortunately.
Well, no, and that's true too.
I think the policy as it stands is following federal law. I appreciate the research that you did to make sure that it is in compliance.
Thank you.
Because there are only so many questions that you can ask, and there are lots of things that you can't, and you don't. So our individuals at the rec department are not in a place of needing to make that judgment call. And I think the policy is very well stated in that regard, and is pretty standard in terms of federal law.
Thank you.
Thank you, Meg.
All right. Anything else?
Do we
No.
vote on that?
Sure.
Anybody from the audience willing to speak on this or have anything to say? All right.
These ones you don't have to ask, no public
Okay.
hearing.
I don't, just being
Okay.
courteous.
Okay.
You never know. Somebody might.
Extra nice.
Extra nice. Okay.
Extra nice. Okay, with that, looking for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the service dog policy as presented by the Recreation Department Director and the Recreation Board of Directors.
Would second.
Motion made by Craig and seconded by Meg. All of those in favor? 7-0. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Very well.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along. Item number 23 is a presentation on Community Heart and Soul Grant by Catherine Ingraham, founder of CEI Consultants.
Thanks, Tim. Okay, perfect. Good evening, everyone. My name's Catherine Ingraham. I am a community heart and soul coach and a community development consultant. I live in Parham, so not too far from Presque, and I'm here tonight to talk to you about community heart and soul. Tim, the arrows aren't working. Sorry. I can go on if you want without the visuals. I thought the visuals would be nice, but this was a jam-packed meeting, so
Oh, something happened.
I think the mouse is froze.
You'll swap the battery trick.
Yeah, I don't.
Fuck the battery trick.
It
It does work
I can
sometimes,
just
doesn't
talk
it?
if I need to too, that's fine.
You got the power.
Maybe.
Okay. All right, we'll go out without the visuals. So I'm here to share with you what Community Heart and Soul is, what its origins are, what the process entails, and some details about how that might unfold here if the city of Presque chooses to pursue this grant opportunity. So Community Heart and Soul was founded by Lyman Orton, who is the proprietor of the Vermont Country Store. It is entirely funded by proceeds from the Vermont Country Store. He started it when he was serving on his town's planning board and a development moved into the community that didn't necessarily fit the character of the town, but in that instance, the select board saw that it would bring tax revenue and jobs to the community, so it was allowed to be brought in. The establishment started and was shut down after just a few years and left a large blighted property in the community that nobody wanted there in the first place. So he was looking for different ways for more thorough and complete community engagement. So really trying to figure out what matters most to the people who live in a community and how to use that for planning purposes going forward. The entire process is based around 3 principles. One is involve everyone. The process tries to be very, very intentional about getting as much community input from all parts and facets of a community as possible, and there's a strategic way in which that happens. The other intentions are to focus on what matters, so not to get dragged down by negativity, but by focusing on the littlest things that we all have in common. And it may just be that you all live in Presque Isle and you love this place and you want to see it thrive for the future. And then the last principle is playing the long game, because planning doesn't happen overnight. Things maybe don't fall into disrepair very quickly. They don't necessarily get solved quickly either. So just keeping that in mind, that things take a little while to happen. So this isn't what they're seeing on the screen, though.
No, they're not going to see it.
Is that okay? Okay. Just to help me. Right. Okay, fair enough. So the process started in Vermont, but a couple of the pilot communities were in Maine. Biddeford and Gardner, Damerscotto were the first 3 that started in the state of Maine. I've been working with the program for about a decade now, starting with a Mahoosic regional project that involved the towns of Bethel, Greenwood, Newry, and Woodstock. They shared one school district, which was why they chose to do a project together. And it has expanded to be in hundreds of communities across the entire United States. So over the years, the program has evolved a lot and it's gotten a lot better with the experiences that we've had in different places. So it is a 2-year process divided into 4 different phases. The first phase is called Imagine. It's all about organizing a team that's demographically representative of your community who are going to carry out the entire process. During that time, you also do a community network analysis where you really look at, like, what are the different segments of people in Presque Isle? What are some of the formal groups, the informal groups? Where do people gather? How can they be reached? So the process is really about bringing community engagement to the community instead of asking people to come out to a meeting, even though it's wonderful to have this many people in a meeting tonight. That's not necessarily always the case in my experience over the years. In the second phase, you actually do the community engagement on the ground. So the team gathers stories from residents, and this helps develop what will become your heart and soul statements. They're like vision and value statements that represent what matters most to people in Presque Isle. In the third phase, you plan. So residents will develop action plans that come from ideas generated by residents in the community to help guide future planning decisions made based around those statements. And in the fourth phase, it's called ACT. So the heart and soul statements can be officially adopted by the city council if you think that's appropriate. Often I'm seeing communities use them now in updated comprehensive and master plans, sort of in place or in addition to vision and value statements. Got some pictures in here for you that we're not going to look at. But basically, like, the 2 years is a great way to involve residents that wouldn't typically show up to a meeting or typically be involved or volunteer for something. It lowers the barrier to participation in community and in government. So the team will work, closely with students, people who might be housebound, and really, really, as I said, be intentional about bringing the table to people instead of asking people to come to the table. And right now there is a $10,000 seed grant available for new communities who would like to do a community heart and soul process. There is a $10,000 cash match required for that, but it is a non-competitive grant process. So as long as you go through the process of submitting the application and following the steps, you're pretty much guaranteed to get that.
Cool.
So I jammed a lot in a small period of time, so I apologize. But if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Council, this is something that the Community Prosperity Committee is working on, and we've written a proposal, but we have not actually finalized that, and we'll be looking at ways that we might want to use this.
So would we then use like the outcome of this to leverage, like, let's say, like trail grants or community block development grants, or just like grant funding to do great stuff for our community, basically?
Yeah, and a lot of communities, so you end up kind of with a few different products, Mike. The heart and soul statements are a product, per se, of the process. They can be used in a multitude of ways. You'll also end up with an action plan full of ideas that come from the community that the community gets to prioritize. And you'll have all of the data for who's participated in it, what different engagement events that you've done, and that can all be used to help leverage grant funding. And that has worked very successfully in a number of communities across the state. I've worked in 18 different towns and cities in Maine doing this process over the years, so.
Well, let's get you in one that's nearby.
I would love that.
And we're hoping that this is a segue into better community engagement as we walk into some really big projects like downtown VPI, and trying to get our citizens engaged in a way that is positive.
Good.
Thank you, Kat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, where are we at?
24.
So, there's... Oh. Yeah, okay, so we're on 24.
Yep.
All right. And this, item number 24, oh, I'm sorry.
Presenting that.
Guys all set?
Yeah.
Okay. Item number 24 under new business is to approve resolution for the Community Resilience Partnership. This. Sonia, what do you want to tell us what this is about? Or Tim? You want to tell us what this?
I'd like to introduce Tim, who would like to present.
My goodness.
Evening again, Council. So I had a nice slideshow for you, but as...
Your mouse doesn't work either.
Yeah, so we'll have to bear with that. So the Community Resilience Partnership is a partnership with Maine DECD and GoPIF. So currently the program is through GoPIF, which is the Governor's Office of Innovation and Financial Policy, or something with those words in it.
Governor's Office of Policy, Innovation, and the Future.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank
I
you,
had all the
Mr.
letters.
Chair.
So it's a 4-year action plan, climate action plan that started in 21. It was updated into 24, and most recently the governor allotted $8 million to the program. It is a grant program. We partner with GoPIF. It's currently in that office. I believe it will be moving to the Office of Community Affairs later this year, but either way, we're going to be in the program no matter where it resides within the state. But it's a grant program that allows us to work on community resilience projects, climate action projects. So for this process, we did community engagement, which was in your announcements last month. We had a few people turn out, not as much as I was hoping for, but we did have a few people turn out. The results of that meeting, which you guys have the report in your packets, the results of that meeting are what's in the resolution. The people that we had prioritized those items, with the first one being the walkability of downtown. I don't remember what the middle one was, but the third one was food sovereignty, that Vincent mentioned earlier.
Tree planting strategy.
I think something like
It's
that.
trees.
Tree planting
Trees.
strategy.
So those were the items that got prioritized out of that meeting. The resolution is asking for the council to approve the working group to continue down this path. We are working with Grow Smart Maine for this first round of grant application. There are 2 rounds every year. There is Community action grants offer funding for up to $75,000 for municipality. If we work with another municipality, we may be request up to $175,000. And a local 10% cost share does apply for climate action grants that implement other community priorities outside of the list. But there's no match when it's on the list. So, and there's a list of like 70 different actions that you can do. So, some examples: energy efficiency strategies. Majority of this grant program revolves around the planning side of it, a little bit of implementation, but mostly around planning. Energy efficiency strategies for town buildings. So if we want to put in plan for strategies of updating HVAC systems, heat pumps, LED lights, that kind of things. Vulnerability and or resistance assessments, community-driven planning for climate resiliency, emergency alert system, tree planting plan, engineering study to determine improvements at a dam, forest conservation. So those are some examples. I think that's all I have. Mostly because you can't see my slides.
Adding to what Timothy has said tonight, what we're hoping this $75,000 can do in planning is be another segue into the downtown revitalization, the VPI project, where tree planting may or may not be part of that project. Walkability is another thing that we thought would work very well for VPI. And food sovereignty is something that is gaining some traction around the state, and I just think we need to probably look at that more closely and how that may tie into our existing farmers market.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but even with the VPI project, most of that stuff was already incorporated into what the designs were, right?
So walkability is a big piece of the VPI project. So one of the pieces that was presented in the conceptual is walking path that's on the west side of Main Street, which I think sidewalk will come on the west side of Main Street, but there's also a path that takes you down, proposed to go down behind Walmart and things like that. I think, personal opinion, when push comes to shove, in 5 years, and something needs to be cut from a project, that might be one of the first pieces to be cut from a project. Just because it's not focusing on those pieces that they would typically focus on.
Or like essentially a bike path up near Umpy and something like that.
Right.
Trails.
So,
yes.
So yeah, this community resilience partnership isn't specific to downtown Presque.
No, it covers majority, like it covers the whole city. So one of the first things I hope to walkability is doing a sidewalk and crosswalk assessment.
Sure.
To include Main Street, but also include the west side of the river.
Right.
We don't have a ton of infrastructure over there for sidewalks and walking.
Right.
And it's a valid piece of town that we need to open up and help with.
So hypothetically speaking, though, if the VPI project does cover everything that you're talking about with sidewalks, bike paths, lights, all of the other stuff, do you have a contingency plan to use that money for something different?
So remember, this is primarily planning. So very little money goes into the implementation piece of it. We would do planning and then be able to seek grants or other projects based on what that plan is.
I think I'm totally supportive. I think I just would be cautious to not use too much planning money in the VPI areas. Because I think as part of the raised grant, I think that's like walkability is the major driver of the project. So I don't want to use money in a place where it's already going to be getting taken care of anyways.
Yeah, I would echo that. I would suggest using this resource outside of the VPI project.
Council, I believe it could be used to tie into the VPI, but not implement in the VPI. So in other words, if we think that once the VPI is designed, then we could add a trail from that so that it makes sense in the broader community. So I think we'll be very sensitive to the fact that we don't want to duplicate services in any way. So we'll be cautious about that.
I think there's other
And
areas that
Yeah, it's not a foregone conclusion that we will either get the grant or what we will actually apply for. We simply are requesting that you allow us to look into this a little further and to trust that whatever we do request will make sense to not only our community, but plans that are already in place.
This is also primarily a community-driven project. The group is made up of community members. There's staff members involved, myself and Sonia. Lewis was also there at that meeting. So there's staff members involved with it, but it's primarily community-driven. So with that, we'll get hopefully better community engagement.
Sure.
So do you need a motion from us?
So,
There's a resolution in your packet, and the resolution is what we are moving as the motion.
well, then, I suppose it is that time to read the City of Presque resolution to participate in the Community Resilience Partnership. Whereas the City of Presque experiences an increased frequency of extreme weather emergencies and seeks to better prepare for future conditions, and whereas planning for community and infrastructure resilience will protect people, preserve businesses and the local economy, and reduce the impact and costs of natural disasters, and whereas the City of Presque has completed the Community Resilience Partnership's Community Resilience Self-Assessment and List of Community Actions, and held a community workshop on held a community workshop on the 9th of April 2025, which prioritized the following action areas: a walkable and vibrant downtown, enhanced pedestrian and bike infrastructure through improved signage, sidewalks, crosswalks, and paths, and tree planting strategy, increase tree cover to boost downtown appeal, provide shade, and support climate resilience, and food sovereignty policy, promote local control over food systems by supporting community agriculture and traditional food practices. Be it resolved, the City of Presque commits to participating in the Community Resilience Partnership, which supports community leadership in reducing greenhouse gas emissions and increasing resiliency to extreme weather and climate change impacts. Be it further resolved, the City of Presque designates a Community Resilience Working Group to coordinate planning, implementation, and monitoring of energy and resilience projects, and to be the primary point of contact to the Community Resilience Partnership.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the resolution as just so eloquently read.
Oh, well, thank you.
Now, do we have some discussion for a second?
There's
After
been
we get a second to
yeah, where the motion's been made,
Second.
seconded by Harold, and open for discussion.
So, in this, so the governor's put $8 million into this? Is that what we're
Yes.
understanding?
Yes.
For us to do it? Well, the state's broke, and they should pay the social service agencies and the hospitals first. I think this is a bunch of hooey, so I'm not up for that.
Can I clarify that? I do believe that our slice is 75,000. So that's as much as we're getting at most. So just explaining the upper limit of the grant, we're not getting the full 8 million, I don't think.
No.
It's just like from
Yeah.
our state. So, yeah.
Well, Craig, I can probably guarantee that whether we vote yes or no, the state is not going to pay their bills. So, we might as well take it.
So Meg made a motion, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, Harold made a second.
And Harold made the second. All right, very well. Thanks, Harold. So, is there any further discussion beyond Craig's and Doug's? All right, all those in favor? Is that 5?
5-2.
5-2. All right, very well. Thank you very much. Excuse me. Our next item is to approve an EMS contract for the Presque Fire Department. Sonia, you want to run us through this one?
Yes,
Would you mind?
Mr. Chair. So Chief White could not be with us this evening, so he has entrusted me to bring this contract before you. He's asked me to convey to you that he would like to change on page 2. He doesn't want the per capita to increase more than $85. So year 1 would be, per capita charge would be $85, which it is right now $65. Year 2 would be $85, and year 3 would be $85. He asks that you pass this, and this affects Chapman, Easton, Mapleton, Wade, Washburn, and Westfield. So each community would be offered a separate contract.
What's his reasoning for not wanting the step up?
His belief is that 85 is a fair price, and that exceeding that becomes unfair to smaller communities, and that we are already experiencing significant revenue, and he believes that 85 is the fair price point.
Is that just for continued participation with other communities? Does he feel like if he raises it too much that nobody's going to participate? Or is there a requirement that they have to?
I don't believe there's a requirement, but I do feel that we are somewhat the only game in town for them.
Wasn't Caribou 4 or 5 years ago at 100?
They were, and I think they still are.
Okay, well, I don't see that being unreasonable to continue this increase. They can find their own ambulance service otherwise.
Well, the only thing, so, am I missing something? Was this negotiated with counselors?
Yes. Yes.
Who was the working group? You guys?
Meg and Councillor Meg and
Okay.
Councillor Hall. Yeah,
Okay.
we met.
Okay, so, and you guys went along with the 85, the 95, and the 105, is that what I'm understanding?
That's what I recall, yeah.
Okay,
Yes, so
okay,
that-
well, that's what okay, well,
Yeah.
I was understanding that's what you would have done, so that's why I was just kind of
Yes.
trying, okay.
Yes. The work
Okay.
that they did in committee recommended the 85, the 95, and the 105.
Right.
The chief has requested that we stay at the 85, but that is not what was negotiated in the committee level.
Okay, got it, thank you.
So, yeah, okay, so when we first did this a number of years ago, we did a very extensive financial look at what other communities charge, and I'm sure you guys discussed that too. And then we set the rates based on that to make sure that what the taxpayer in Presque paid when they paid for the fire and police, or fire and ambulance service, excuse me, that they wouldn't be subsidizing the surrounding communities that used our service. And so that the extra manpower, the extra vehicles, the extra items that we needed to have, that those were covered under what we charged other communities. So that was the whole premise of it. So, and I think that was a fair assessment at the time. And if you folks have gone through and again done due diligence again, what I do know is that our union contracts, our health insurance, and our expenses to buy equipment and other items continue to rise, and sometimes at a pretty quick rate more recently. So I'd be kind of cautious about 3 years of level cost and us charging other communities. And I know it's good to be a good neighbor, but on the other hand, then that displaces, we're still going to have, a 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever the raise is that year for that's going to be staffing costs to us as a taxpayer in Presque. We're going to have all the other costs that rise. So,
And we recently renegotiated with the union to change their hours worked, and
right.
it was basically adding another shift, I think.
And that had an increased cost to us for staff.
Will you guys talk us through how you ended up with the 85 and then the $10 escalator?
I've slept since then, Mike. I know that Chief brought a proposal that included payback rates, the values, the fees that other agencies are charging, and the history of the rates that have been charged previously. And his feeling, again, that the 85 was more than sufficient to cover the costs, and felt like the other piece of the conversation that I recall is that in terms of if somebody went and found, a different agreement that worked better for them, that would actually not be a loss to us, because transport is a big revenue generator. And if we did happen to lose a contract with a community, that would simply free up additional opportunities for transport, which is actually higher rate of return. So I'm surprised to hear a change to the recommendation, and personally would agree with Craig's assessment, and that is mine as well, that costs are never going to go down. So why we wouldn't build in a planned increase rather than having to renegotiate every year makes a lot of sense to me. And then if the consequences of that are that a community decides not to renew, then we can use those man hours to do transport, which is a revenue generator for us. So I don't believe that there is a downside to keeping these figures where they are.
No, I mean, to give an example, Chapman, that $10 is $4,900, less than $5,000 cost to the entire town, just based on this escalator.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the other ones are $10,000 or $12,000, so they're not huge.
I think that's very realistic.
So the service agreement before you is exactly what was decided at the committee level. And and the motion would reflect that this is what the contract will be.
All right.
So is this something that should be tabled to where we have Daryl before us to further discuss, or do we go?
I would recommend passage as the committee.
Pass it as a committee?
Yeah,
okay,
and he can follow up with you if he wants to provide his rationale, but it was negotiated and
'cause I agree
discussed in
with-
good faith.
with Craig and Meg, and I appreciate Meg and Harold's participation in this and
Absolutely.
getting into this stuff. And I don't see anything at all unreasonable about these steps and cost. I mean, it's just part of the world, the way the world is now. So
Well, just
Make a
this is
motion.
one example. We
It
bought
makes-
an ambulance a few years ago, and when we bought the ambulance, it was a little under 200,000. Now they're well over 200,000.
Oh, sure.
So I mean, so our costs have not decreased, and so
Exactly.
okay,
Mr. Chair, can I make a motion
yes, you can.
to approve the emergency medical service contract for Presque Fire Department as presented?
Thank you, Doug.
Second.
Motion by Doug, seconded by Craig. Craig.
Craig,
Oh,
yeah.
just stop
Good
it.
Wouldn't be a meeting if it didn't happen.
Guys, jeepers. Okay, motion made by Doug and seconded by Craig. All of, no further discussion.
No.
Right? All those in favor? All right, 7-0, motion carries.
Thank you.
On to item number 26. And this is to schedule a public hearing for Chapter 13 litter ordinance at the June 4th, 2025 council meeting. It's pretty much self-explanatory, I believe.
Yeah, we're just requesting that we be able to put it on the June agenda.
See no reason why it shouldn't be there.
Thank you. Same for number 27, Mr. Chair?
Do the same thing for both? Great in one motion?
Yep.
We can do that.
Same motion?
Uh,
You can
Different items?
Yeah.
schedule the public hearing for both.
yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman, I move we schedule a public hearing for Chapter 40, Conduct in Public Parks, Recreation Areas and Facilities for the June 4th council meeting, and schedule at the same time a public hearing for the ordinance dealing with Chapter 13, the litter ordinance.
Very well. Thank you, Craig. Motion made.
Second.
Seconded by Hank. All of those in favor? 7-0. Great. That will be on the June 4th, 2025 agenda. Item number 28. Excuse me. Pardon me. Okay, so this is to approve award of a bridge contract. Oh, let me see here.
And Mr. Chair, our city engineer Dana Fowler is here to give you some clarity.
Perfect. Dana, come on up and tell us what's happening with the bridge on the Egypt Road.
Did you skip item 27?
We included item 26 and 27.
Gotcha.
We combined them.
Gotcha, great.
Government efficiency.
Efficiency.
Yes, yes.
Doge. Good evening, council. We're here to ask you to accept the low bid for a bridge. So we have a couple of culverts on the Egypt Road that are in very critical condition. They're 5-foot diameter, but one of them is like 3.5 feet high. It isn't literally collapsing. We have we applied for some grants, and we were successful with the grant from Maine DOT for what's called a Main Stream Crossing Grant, $200,000. And the city council has previously approved as part of the city council, as a city budget, $260,000 in the 2024 and 2025 budgets for public works for these large culverts. Hired an engineering firm that specializes in bridges, Calderwood Engineering. They designed a 30-foot bridge, and we went out to bid. It's all public, and advertised on the city website and Construction Summary of Maine, county newspaper. Opened bids with the city clerk. We had 6 bids. Low bidder is the Allen Company of Presque for $415,318. Calderwood, the engineering firm, vetted the low bidder and recommends approval of the award. So there's a recommended motion there for you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Dana, we were the beneficiary of some grants for this as well that go towards this cost, did we not?
Correct. So for this particular crossing, we received a $200,000 grant, which was called the Main Stream Crossing Grant, which is administered by Maine DOT.
Okay.
So is this cost net of that, or no? Is the project actually 615,000?
No, no.
Okay. So it's gonna cost us 215.
The construction cost is $415,318. There's additional cost for engineering and inspection.
Okay.
But we have, with your CIP approval and the grant, we have a total of $660,000.
Allotted for that.
I'm sorry, $460,000 total
Allotted.
to work with, allotted, right.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move we award a contract to the Allen Company of Presque in the amount of $415,318 for the construction of a bridge over Williams Brook on the Egypt Road.
Thank you, Mike, for the motion, and Doug for the second. All of those in favor? 7-0, unanimous, passes. All right, that brings us to item number 29, which is a presentation on Aroostook County 2024 tourism statistics by Kim Smith. Kim, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. As you know, I attended the Governor's Conference on Tourism, as I do every year. And one of the new things that they instituted this year is a grant walk. And anyone who got a grant from the Maine Office of Tourism was recognized during the grant walk. And so Presque was recognized for their grant that they got for the eclipse last year. So I wanted to show you that. We have that. I also want to mention, by the way, stepping away from tourism for a moment, that you may notice that some of the staff members today are wearing red. This is Clerk Week. And so today we're wearing red in honor of Clerk Week.
Fantastic. Thank you to all the clerks.
Yeah. Also, as we're talking about tourism, I would be remiss not to make mention tonight of someone in our community who we have just lost, who had a great passion for tourism. We lost Pat Sutherland last night, for those of you who don't know. Sorry. So this is actually the 2024 tourism statistics. I'm not going to read all this to you. I'd like to start just by giving you an overview of what the visitors to our area look like. The typical Maine visitor travels with 2.5 people in their party. 15% of those travel with someone under the age of 18 in their group. The typical Maine visitor is 45 years old, 86% white, 67% are post-high school graduates, 66% of them are married, 68% are employed full-time, and the annual average household income is $100,000, and just slightly more than half of them are male. Maine, at least in Aroostook County, is typically a drive market rather than fly. 81% who visited Aroostook County traveled here by car. 84% stayed one or more nights, and the average stay was 3.9 nights. 97% indicate that they will return for a future visit or vacation. The lodging occupancy in Aroostook County for 2024 was 47.2%, and the majority of the visitors indicated that customer service, the uniqueness of the communities visited, the activities and attractions, and the friendliness of the people here all exceeded their expectations. We knew that, right? But maybe more important to hear is what that tourism meant to our community in terms of economic impact and dollars. We have 8 tourism regions in the state of Maine. Aroostook County is its own region. The visitors that come here typically come either for snow activities or to visit friends and family. 300,200 visitors to Aroostook County generated an economic impact to Aroostook of $249,889,200. The visitors spent 1,195,100 days in Aroostook. And here's one that's really important. These visitors then supported in wages to Aroostook County employees $76,920,600 in wages. That translates to 2,170 jobs in our communities. And that means that every 138 visitors supported a job here in the county. The visitors, and this is very important to taxpayers, these visitors saved local households $879 in state and local taxes in 2024. 67% of the visitors to the county traveled from 7 U.S. states and the Canadian province of New Brunswick. The primary origin of visitors were as follows: 32% in-state, 8% Massachusetts, 6% New York, New Hampshire, and New Brunswick each, 5% Florida, and 4% New Brunswick. So you can see by these numbers that tourism is very important to our local economy. And one of the things that they really hammered home to those of us who attended the recent Aroostook Summit is that every single business in Aroostook County is a tourism industry. So, thank you. Any questions?
Thanks a lot. Yeah, cool. Thanks, Kim. Some interesting numbers there. Perfect. All right. Up next is item number 30, and this is to select airport interim financing bid from Katahdin Trust or Bangor Savings Bank. And Sonia, I think you've been involved with this, so fill us in on what's up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to introduce our Finance Director, Laura Smith, and she will walk you through this process.
Absolutely. Hi, Laura.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
Good. All right, so I prepared a memo, which you probably have in front of you, but I'll just read that. On April 18th, 2025, the City of Presque conducted a formal bid opening for the interim financing of the airport improvement project. Two financial institutions submitted proposals in response to our request, Katahdin Trust and Bangor Savings Bank. So Katahdin Trust Company submitted two financing options which reflect different interest rates based on the project's tax status. That's currently an issue that we're getting under review by our bond counsel, Bernstein Sure. So option one, if it is tax exempt, the fixed interest rate will be 4.33%. The total interest over a 2-year term being $1,039,200. Option two, if it is not tax exempt, it would be a fixed interest rate of 5.41%, resulting in a $1,298,400 interest cost. And then option number two is Bangor Savings with the same options, similar. If it's tax exempt, 5.35%, but that will result in a $1,284,000 interest cost. And then if it is found taxable, it will be an interest rate of 6.65%, resulting in $1,596,000 in interest. At this time, Katahdin Trust Company's tax-exempt option offers the lowest cost to the city should the project qualify for tax-exempt financing. Bernstein Sure is currently assessing the city's eligibility under the IRS guidelines for such treatment. Once determined, the city will proceed with the appropriate financing option. And then there's a motion if suggested, and then I'm open to any questions.
Cool. Thank you.
This estimated interest rate, would that be if the entire 12 million was borrowed?
That's at the 12 million.
And it wouldn't be, right? Isn't it going to be just?
If we get the last grant, it would be down to 9.5.
But I guess what I'm saying is
it would be smaller if the
we're
terms
just
were
gonna pay interest on the amount of money that we expend as the project goes, right? So
the amount that we take out.
So it's not gonna be 12 million for 2 years. It'll be
Right.
a little bit, and then more, and then more and more, right, as the
Essentially.
project goes. Okay. The only thing I would just add is that the interest rates are calculated on the 12 million and not the 15 million that we're required to take, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So, good question.
I'm for option one.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd move the city council authorize the interim city manager and finance director to proceed with the Katahdin Trust Company's proposal based on Bernstein Sure's determination.
Second. It's always nice when a local company's a little bidder too.
Motion made by Craig and seconded by Mike. Any further discussion? All those in favor? 7-0. Oh, 6-0. Doug abstained.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, up next is item number 31, and this is to amend the facilities budget. for you, Laura, or Tyler?
Good question, Mr. Chair. Tyler is here to give you some clarity on this issue.
Wake up.
Very warm here, guys.
Yes, it is.
Good evening, guys. So what this is just moving funds from another city department to facilities. What it was is when we split the two departments up, we took on the work. They kept the money. We just need the money so we can pay our employees. That's basically all it is.
So there's no additional expense, it's just simply moving the line items
Correct.
from
There's
one
no
budget to the
additional
other.
expense in the budget. We're not asking for any more money. It's just coming from one department to another.
So, and can you just clarify, it says 50,000 in part-time wages to support rental operations. Is that for the rental operations or to take care of the park?
That's all. That's all
Everything.
parks and
Okay.
rentals. That's everything that's involved in a park.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
And we should probably just clarify that in the memo, because it looks like we're really bad at running a business if we're paying that much wages for $3,500 of revenue. So
Correct. Yeah.
maybe we should just fix that memo to say part-time wages to take care of the park.
Parks. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Tyler.
Mr. Chair, I move that the city council authorizes the reappropriation of $3,500 in revenue and $50,000 in part-time salary expenses from the recreation department to the facilities department, to reflect the transfer of Manor Lake management duties.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mike, seconded by Hank. Any council discussion? Seeing none, looking for a vote. 7-0, motion passes. Very well. Okay, item number 32, is to discuss a bridge loan for homeless services of Aroostook. Discussion and action to be determined. So,
Mr. Chair,
please do.
I'd like to introduce Director Carrie Bradstreet, who will be making a presentation tonight and will be guiding you through this.
Thank you.
I travel with my fan.
That's great.
Thank you for the invite and for hearing us out this evening. I trust that you all got a hefty packet that gave a lot of information. So I'm not sure how much you want me to go into detail on this request, but for the general public who's here and is not aware of it, Homeless Services of Aroostook is looking at a deficit in our budget. We've done a lot of research over the past year, 6 months, to really look at state funding through to the operations of the shelter. That number is about $7 a bed night. The average statewide cost of a bed night is over $100. Aroostook County is about $50 a bed night. So we're half of what the statewide average is, but only getting paid $7 a bed night through the state. There hasn't been an increase since 2016. There is a bill, it's LD 698, that is in Appropriations Committee right now. And we're hoping that that's gonna be passed, as the majority vote was the $5 million as it was written for the 2 consecutive years in the biennium budget. So we're in a downfall at this time. We're seeking options that are available to us. Had a conversation with Ryan Pelletier this morning for the county piece of it, because we're looking at it as systems issue. Just because the shelter's in Presque shouldn't have to carry that entire burden. So we're looking now where the gaps are. And we're looking for this bridge loan of $150,000 to help us to get through the next quarter, where we'll know the results of LD 698 and the passage of that, as well as we'll have more conversations with Ryan to be able to pursue, and they've already began the work next year's budget to be able to, they're going to be developing a subcommittee with their Aroostook Finance subcommittee. There'll be 3 members, and that subcommittee will be appointed on May 21st to reassess all of their agencies that are in Aroostook County that they support. So once that committee is formed, meetings will be held with all outside agencies that the county supports. And when I explained to and talked with Ryan today and explained the municipality process that HSA does currently, we bill $2 per capita based on the most recent census to all of the municipalities. We have 70 on our list, and he informed me there's several other unorganized territories that we're not capturing. So there is some funds that we've left on the table there, but only 30 of those municipalities support us. So again, it leaves a heavier burden to Presque, a heavier burden to community members, a heavier burden to local churches, civil organizations, you and I mean taxpayers. So the board and I have been actively working the past several months, exploring all the opportunities, researching like the general assistance funding. That's not favorable to the city of Presque Isle because the first 30 days if someone comes into our shelter, we could be billing the city of Presque Isle. If they were there for 30 days, they have no income and no general assistance debarment, then it's $748 a month for the first 30 days. And that first 30 days is automatically to the city of Presque Isle. We have no control over that. Day 31 goes to the municipality that that person comes from. So, and right now, general assistance is reimbursed at 70% to the municipalities. So last year, I did some rough numbers. It was a little under $150,000 that the city of Presque Isle would have, or could have, been responsible for if we use the general assistance funding model. City of Presque Isle supported us with a little under $16,000. They are the ones who pay us the most every year. They always pay us, and they've always been supportive of us. So that's not a question at all if you're doing your part. It's just not enough. And it's not just enough with you, it's everybody, the entire county and the state. So, but with those numbers of 2024, the city of Presque Isle would have been reimbursed, or could have been reimbursed, 70%, and that would have left, what, 50,000? That was still the responsibility of the city of Presque Isle with the general assistance funding model. So this loan, like I said, we humbly come and ask for this assistance to help us get through the next quarter. We are not going to close our doors. Our doors will stay open because there is a need in this county. And if people are having difficulty seeing homeless on the streets now, it'll be even worse if our doors close. Which puts even more burden everywhere. Law enforcement, medical, city councils, community members, churches, everything. So I gave you a thorough packet. Do you have any questions?
Yeah. So Carrie, so we became aware of this, and she and her team have worked diligently to keep us updated in what's gone on, and as she mentions, there's a very different, I think, perception today of who are the homeless and what is being homeless, and the population that Carrie and her team serve are primarily people from Aroostook County. Presque Isle is one of the larger cities that they serve. They are not from out of the area. In large part, I think, what was the number you had? It was in the 90% range was from Aroostook County. Was that accurate?
Yes, there was 11 from 2024 that were out of Aroostook County.
So the issues that we had seen in the past through the COVID pandemic and some of the things that went on are not what we're talking about here. We're talking about our own people that live here that are displaced from their job or their home or bills or financial crisis or medical crisis, and they just have nowhere to go. So they come to what we used to call the Sister Mary O'Donnell Shelter, and now it's Homeless Services of Aroostook. And they have been very successful in the last year to get grant funding, and they have bought the building behind their building, which they have expanded to be a warming shelter. It's absolutely incredible what they've done, and they've done it on a shoestring budget. And so they have been able to service these needs when we've had situations where people have been displaced in the winter and it's cold. They have cots. They go up and it becomes beds at night, food or other different things during the day so they can feed people. And you know, to my estimation, they've done a wonderful job. They also have done it, like I say, at half the cost of the rest of the state, and some of the other parts of the state actually are more like $150 we've seen in some of the graphs, so a third of what some areas do. So it's in our best interest to keep our team that's here in Presque Isle working. And the other thing too, I mean, I don't want to disclose too much, but I'm sure it's public record that these individuals are earning minimum wage to do this job. They do it because it's truly a calling that they have. It's not, none of them are getting rich on it. And the other thing that I guess I would say is this is a 24-hour business. They're there all night long, and sometimes at night they have very short staffing because they simply can't afford in the budget to have all the people they need. So my hat's off to you, and I just would encourage everyone to help support the budget at the state level, this LD 698, because again, they have not changed their budget at the state level since 2016. So all of the increases that have come, they've fundraised. And so now that we've had a little bit of a deficit the last few years here, it's not because of mismanagement. You know, they're doing it as cheaply as possible. But anyway, I guess just I would throw my support to helping you through this time and to get you forward in the budget ahead so that we can have a better partnership with the county and what we do with other communities.
Can I ask these other towns that have $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, if it was calculated on a per person, were requests sent to them?
On the municipality sheet, is that, yes.
Yeah. And they all just
Didn't support us.
no
I mean,
reply, or
nothing.
yet they all have people from those areas? I hope that's noted in the news and all of that. That's ridiculous.
That's yeah.
And going forward, we're thinking about, going forward, that's one of the reasons we want to bring the county into play, because we have no leverage, no teeth in it. So Carrie, you could explain that, but that was the whole purpose of bringing the county in. We have them to do the billing and have more teeth in it.
There's no accountability. So we send out a letter every year. Our letters just went out last week to all the municipalities, requesting the formula that we use, that funding, and cross your fingers and hope for a check to come back. That's all it is. But if we
Well,
go through,
I mean, you can do more than that.
Well,
you can go to their meetings and
yes.
tell them what you do and how important it is.
and we have been.
Okay.
I was out of town, but I had two board members who represented HSA at Madawaska, and the request was like 7,000 for Madawaska.
Yeah.
They fund us at 1,050 for the past several years. And then the results of that meeting were, well, we'll double it this year. We'll give you 2,100 with the caveat that it will, if we need money elsewhere, we're gonna pull from there and make it a lower amount to you. So, I mean, that's been something that the board and I have been working on this over the past 6 months to get, we found out like when the end of the year, the fiscal year is, when they close their books, when the new budget comes in, so that we can send someone, either myself or one of the representatives from the board, to the towns. But other than that, I mean, the accountability is literally the letter and hope for a check. If we go through the county, we're able to build that into the county budget, and then the county will bill the municipalities, and they're accountable for that.
And-
It's not just,
And our budget really won't change based on your funding formula, because we're within a few $100s of that funding formula as it says.
yes.
So just to call out a few here, you've got Caribou at $15,000, they contributed 0.
Correct.
Holton, $12,000, they contributed 0.
Correct.
Fort Fairfield, $6,600, they contributed 0.
Correct.
Fort Kent, 8,100, they contributed 0.
Correct.
Probably missing some here. Hodgson, 2,500, they contributed 0. Littleton, 1,900, they contributed 0. Madawaska, 7,700, they contributed 1,000. New Sweden, 1,100. Sherman, 1,600. Van Buren, 4,000. All
Last-
contributed 0. They're not even trying.
Last year in 2024, we sent out a little under $134,000 worth of requests, and that's the same formula to everybody. We received back a little under 46,000, and that was it.
And we were a third of that.
Yes.
When I want to clarify when I say they're not even trying, not you guys. I'm saying the other towns are not.
Correct.
So,
Yeah. One thing too that I think the public ought to know is that there is a state ordinance on support of animal shelters and the amount that each town must pay. There is no such law for humans. So that's something else you should know.
Can we bill other communities?
yeah, we
I
do it
wish.
in the fire rate right there.
Well, I mean, no, I mean, well, if we make
Well-
sure that our shelter stays supported, but, I mean, is there a device in place where we make sure that
Well,
everybody
it-
else is gonna chip in?
It's our advocacy with the county,
I
really,
mean, this,
and our legislators at the state level.
well,
And
that's where some balls need to get rolling.
Yeah.
in this, forgive me, but the amount that Presque contributes, is that required?
The 15,000?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so I was even under the impression that because it sets in Presque, we were required to in some manner. Okay.
Yeah.
No, we do it voluntarily as part of an outside request each
Alright.
year.
It's a goodwill.
Well, it's because we believe in the work you guys are doing.
Thank you.
You're, I don't know if, are we attempting to vote on a loan today?
Well,
or-
that's kind of the thing, is that they're getting to the point where this is critical, and so if we could do this tonight, this would be, I think, a good time.
What happens if the funding doesn't come in?
That was my question.
The LD 698, it's a good question. It's a question that the board and I have discussed many times and still don't have a definitive answer. Ideas would be, I mean, we're not looking to take this money and run. This request is interest-free with the payback if the LD 698 comes in. If that doesn't come in, I mean, it's gonna be how it's drawn up and how it's contracted, then we would start paying interest at that time. I mean, that's not anything, it's
Just
an-
interest.
well, no, we could
Oh,
make
okay.
payments,
Yeah.
yes.
Full payment.
But I mean, that's something that we'd have to negotiate with the city of Presque Isle in order to come up with the contract that would be in agreeance.
Your properties that you had mentioned that you just bought with grants, so I assume there's no lien on them?
Correct.
I don't know the legalities, but can you take a mortgage out on those?
We have a line of credit, but we haven't looked into doing a mortgage.
Or a line of credit?
We do have a line of
So you have
credit.
that as an option?
Yes.
Yeah, and they've been using that to make up the difference in between, because they get their payments from the state and such,
Sure.
so. Yeah, when you, like I said, I sat through the board meeting with them here last month, and in the course of that, I said, well, this is gonna seem strange for anyone that knows me personally or knows my politics. You know,
You don't keep them hidden.
I don't keep them hidden. But, so I said, I would hope that the community would say, if Mr. Republican guy is sitting here saying that this social service agency is doing the job they need to do, and they're doing it in a way that is worth an incredible debt from us to you, that if I'm willing to support this, I surely can't understand, not supporting it, because like I say, I think the only other side of this is we're gonna pay more in our police, and our protections we're gonna see it in our community, and then lastly, the people that are being, affected by this, they're gonna be negatively affected. So it isn't, it's something that they have an ability to go to a different model, and they can charge us, like she mentioned, we could pay $50,000 a year for this, and it wouldn't take very long, this loan. We'd pay far more than we're gonna loan them.
Well,
I guess I just,
You know.
I need to counter that though, Craig. It's not like a this or that sort of thing. Like, I've spoke to a number of the boards at length, and I want to thank you for like the incredible work that you're doing. But like, this is also a challenging ask and precedent. Like, I've been on council for 10 years, and like, we've set the budget. Like this money doesn't just come out of the air. Like the budget is set. Like, where does this money come from? And then, I mean, also like, we are supporting them, and there's 100 and whatever thousand from other communities that aren't. And there is a way that if you need to charge us general assistance to make up for it, I mean, you probably don't want me to say that, but then the state's going to reimburse it at 70%. I feel like it's a challenging precedent to mid-budget cycle give a check for $150,000 to anyone. I mean, as important as what you guys do, it's just that creates a precedent where any nonprofit that's going through a tough time. I mean, this comes from the taxpayers, some that are on a fixed income that are struggling too. Like, it's not like we do this and we fix things. Like, maybe we do this and it just kicks the can down the road 3 more months, and we're out $150,000 and they're in the same place.
Well, we've had these types of things happen in the past. I mean, we got Cunningham School dropped on us, and we spent $200 and some thousand to tear it down, and we're still recovering the money today through the taxes from that money that we spent. And we do have money in loan funds here in the community we could easily pay this from. So it's not like it's going to be an immediate tax bill to any constituent that's
right,
sitting.
but I mean, even then, I mean, you're talking about letting them have $150,000 interest-free, and if this thing goes through, this LD 698, then they're going to pay it back. If this doesn't go through, now they're looking at paying interest. And if they're struggling right now to make any payments or make anything going through, that added interest payment is going to make it even tougher.
It potentially
It's just an added burden.
But they have other ways they can ask us for money, and we can end up with the bill that she just mentioned when she first started, and so I guess all I'm telling you is, do you want to take a chance at them getting this model correct and working with the partners and moving ahead, or do we want to take a chance at they don't, and we're going to pay anyway, because we're the local community they can build through.
Right, well, I'm not opposed to anything that they do. I mean, I am a staunch supporter of everything that they do. I'm just looking at it from the financial purpose of the city of Presque Isle and any other burden coming to HSA.
And the work that we're doing is we're trying to find out what's the most equitable for the entire community. And that all of Aroostook County, northern, central, and southern, instead of putting the burden here. I mean, we have a vision, and we're gonna move forward with that. We just don't know what that looks like right now. But guaranteed that we are going to have those tough conversations. I mean, they've already started with Ryan, with the county level, and getting out there and having more face-to-face with, the individual municipalities that aren't supporting, and even the ones that are supporting, to thank them for their continued support.
So when I was there at your meeting the other day, you had a local individual that gave you how much? A check? Just walked in the door and gave you a check, or mailed it to you?
We've had a couple. So we had a local church that gave us $15,000. We had an older individual who walked in and gave us a $10,000 check. We had an anonymous grant that came through Maine Community Foundation for general support of $26,000. We've received another grant from Maine Community for $10,000. The community's stepping up. And because of that, they've got us to this point. And like I said, it's giving us, meaning the board and I, time to get this restructured the proper way. Maine Housing has supported us in 3 renovation grants, almost $500,000. They're not
But you
gonna.
can't use that for operational, that's for facilities, and that's why the facilities are getting upgraded.
Yep.
Like the
Mi-
warm room and all that.
Yeah, Mr. Rick Courier. I see. Is it ever a remote legality or possibility that we, on a loan, that we somehow make claim to their property to secure that loan? Or is that not even smart?
Be negotiated if the city wanted some sort of collateral for the
Right.
loan.
But that
We'd
is
have to
possible.
Negotiate that as part of the loan agreement.
Okay, so it's not,
Mortgage
yeah.
on the shelter.
Just to, as collateral, and then when the funds come in, it gets paid
But
off.
that's
the-
if the funds come in, right?
Right, but the thing is, however important this is, we have been elected to use city dollars, everyone's dollars. So it has to.
And I mean, I would just say that carries a different responsibility than when somebody has the means that they can walk in and give you a check for $10,000. Like, good for them. Like, that's great. But when it's taxpayer money, we're taking money from people to distribute it to something else. I feel like I feel challenged by this ask personally.
Well, yeah, well, like you
And
said,
I'm
it's
1000% supportive. Our store gave something to support the shelter. Like, I'm supportive. I'm just challenged by this ask, particularly mid-budget cycle.
What about the development fund? Would that ever be something for them?
Well, that was kind of my point, is that we have the development fund, we have reserve funds, we have money saved aside that we could utilize that isn't going to come
Well,
as
that's
an
not
extra in the budget.
That's not city council. Maybe I'm
No,
not calling it the right thing.
The development fund could potentially have.
What's the term there
an
where you
eligi-
go and you want to start a business and?
Well, I just don't know about like if there's an eligibility requirement. I mean, they're not a business; they're
nonprofit.
a nonprofit.
Yeah, well, it's a line of.
But I'm sure we can have answers to that by 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
And Carrie, just like from looking at
You know?
like your bank accounts and like the statement of cash flows, like it looks like you've improved things dramatically in the last year and a half. Like it looks to me like you're gonna be okay for several months. Am I wrong? Like, am I not? I don't understand your operation completely. I just can look at your costs and divide it by 12 months and see what you have in your account.
So our only guaranteed money comes from Maine Housing, and that's paid quarterly. We just received this week our quarterly payment for the first quarter. So we're not going to receive any more funding, guaranteed funding, until July. No, it would be the 1st of August that we'd receive that. Yep.
Okay.
Because we submit the reports and then they bill that. And that, what we just received was little under 52,000. And what we should be projected as receiving based on our performance and everything, it would be roughly about 55, 60,000, because there's an extra layer that's paid or bi-yearly.
Yes.
So per Mike's
Biannually.
concern, if we don't decide on this tonight and cut you a check tomorrow morning, I mean, you're not gonna start bouncing checks 30 days from now or 2 weeks from now.
No.
Okay, you go ahead, Doug.
Could it ever, should ever, anything
And then maybe help
proceed, could it be, I suppose, structured as you said, they come in every quarter from somewhere else, could it come in quarterly as a note there? I just figured out, 150 grand at 4% is $6,000. So, if we can, just speaking my own thought, if we can have the loan secured, we would essentially be donating another $6,000 because we're not getting, it's interest free. I mean, I would have no qualms of doing that if it's going to continue to help them, but as I said, with it being the public's money,
Yep.
we have to.
Well, I think we could secure it by starting to send these other municipalities some bills.
Well, yeah, yeah.
And it's
I
an
mean,
okay.
is that legal?
I don't think
No.
so.
I don't know. I mean, nobody wants to see a homeless shelter closed.
Yeah.
Nobody, right?
So-
So, I mean, one way or the other, I mean, hell or high water, the thing's got to be operational.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not. I mean, I guess I was kind of joking, but not really joking. I mean, people could have put some skin in the game here.
Right,
I
so,
mean,
yeah, so we all agree with you wholeheartedly, but would it be like, too far-fetched to say, let's not necessarily sign over a check tonight, but actually make a motion to put this into discussion and to come up with ideas and plans on how to better service the community and the HSA?
yeah,
Yeah, table it till next meeting.
yeah.
I just think one more thing that's missing, that Carrie's working on a bare bones budget right now, which means she's cut staff back.
We got that. It's the county way. We got that.
What's that? Anyway,
She can't see you.
Yeah.
so that requires, like, she got a conversation with the police department today, you're gonna have to back us up because we're so short-staffed at nighttime, that kind of thing, which means more police presence and whatnot. Those are the things that are happening right now. So it's a real bare bones budget thing, and it's even more bare bones right now because we don't know going forward.
Sure.
And we only have one person from midnight to 7 a.m. It's totally unsafe for 40 people in the house. I mean, everybody else has a ratio, you have to have this, for schools and everything else, so many to so many students or patients or, I mean, something happens. I mean, we made 3 phone calls to the police last week. It was me. I was covering the shelter because I cover shifts because that's the county way.
Yeah.
So,
If I could, these folks here in the front row wanted a chance to have something to say.
My name's Chad Shred. I work for Crisis Services for the state of Maine. Part of my job is mobile outreach for homeless people, and so we run also a home that has 2 beds, and I'm telling you right now, it's almost impossible to find beds right now
Sure.
that are not like the homes that you were talking about earlier that are being shut down.
Yeah.
I've had to hunt down people through the woods, under bridges, if this closes, this homeless crisis is coming to our house.
Oh yeah, no, it's not gonna close.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
one way or the other.
It's gonna be in our backyards,
Yeah.
drugs, all of it, and it's not gonna be, if they need help,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And if you're talking about not allowing Martin's Manor to stay open, these are the kinds of services you need to support, because where are all those people gonna go, plus all the people who are already there? Like, that's an even bigger concern for the police
Yeah.
and everyone in Presque Isle.
Yep.
People literally have no place
Yeah.
Your
to
police
go.
involvement, my involvement, all that's gonna go through, it won't be good for the city at all.
No, we are aware of that.
Yeah.
And
So,
also, it should not be something that we're proud of, that it's the county way, that we don't
We
staff
don't pay
places that
people.
need it and pay people more than minimum wage for doing that kind of job. Like, we need to change that culture now. Like,
Yeah.
we can do better than that.
Can I just interrupt real quick?
Yep.
I apologize, but thank you very much for what you do. I know it's a hard job. When I
You know
was
that.
living in Oakland, California, a lot of the homeless don't want help, and they don't want to be housed. A lot of them are mentally ill, all right? But I'm just kind of curious because this is a Presque Isle problem when it should be a county problem. And all the towns affected are taking advantage of our town by not helping out. In a case of emergency, how do town leaders get a hold of each other to discuss situations? Would that be a possibility to go over, hey, listen, this is not our problem only, it's everybody's problem, it's systemic.
You're
Right.
100% right, and just to answer your question, Sonia and Carrie and a group have put together kind of a little upcoming in the next just few days here, kind of summit, so to speak, of the county and some local towns to go over exactly what you're talking about, saying that this is not just our problem, we're going to take the brunt of it because we're the primary community where it's located, but you're 100% right.
I cover Aroostook County.
Yeah.
On a daily, I could end up looking for homeless people in the Allagash all the way down to Danforth.
Mhm.
So it is a huge
Well, and Dixie Shaw, who's here with us tonight, of course, has done an awful lot with Catholic Charities, and then with the food, and all of that's gone on, and so we've spoken with her privately too about things and support from different areas, and so I think there is a good community effort. But can I take a stab at a motion?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I would move that we authorize the city manager, assistant city acting interim. Here we are, interim city. I get this after a minute. The interim city manager, staff, and our city solicitor to come up with negotiation ideas along with Carrie and her board on how we can enter into a financial arrangement that protects the interests of the citizens, but allows potential funding for her purposes.
I'll second it.
Thanks for that motion, Craig, and thanks for the second, Hank. Is there any further discussion on that motion?
I'm going to just explain why I'm going to be a no. I'm supportive, and I really appreciate the work that you do. I think the right approach is to go through our GA office and get your daily fee for the users, and then have the state reimburse the city for that. I think that mechanism's there for a reason. So I'm gonna be a no, but I feel like you should get the support that way.
Understood, totally. All right, thanks, Mike. Okay, so all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. All those opposed? Abstained?
I think I'm with Mike on this one.
Okay.
And Mike was a no.
I'm gonna.
4, 2, 1. Yes. One abstention.
4 with it and
4
2 against.
Correct.
for it and 2 against.
Okay.
Fair though. That was great discussion and good.
No, thank you.
That was productive and informative. Yeah, it's a real deal problem, guys, and people are working to get this sorted out. So there are people out there doing the best they can.
That was a pretty heavy meeting right there.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to take any more time, but I just wanted to say, I've been on this council now going on almost 12 years, and I have never seen this kind of crowd that was here, not for just one issue, that you folks came and participated in your city government for all the issues tonight, and thank you, frankly.
yeah,
because your participation
is
is really,
great.
means a lot to us, because we want to do our
Kudos
best
to you
for you.
all.
We'll see you next month. Yeah.
Okay.
Manager.
So that brings us to.
Hey,
We've got just one
Guys,
last thing to go through,
hey.
and yep.
It's your turn,
You're
Sonia.
still free to leave, but we're not done.
yeah.
We're
Right.
all tired. I don't have much to say tonight except that I want to recognize our city clerks
Yes.
who work extraordinarily hard every week. We have one sitting at the end of this table. Everybody at City Hall plays a critical role from each floor, and we cannot function without any single one of those people missing. So, and our clerks are on the front lines every day. So thank you, Kim, and to your team on the first floor.
Good reading.
Yes,
Okay.
indeed.
Sonia, thank you very much for that manager's report. We've got some Presque City Council announcements for Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. First, Dress Your Decade Street Fair at the Forum, Saturday, May 17th at 5:30. That sounds like a pretty interesting time, fun time. I'm sure it's going to be on the city's Facebook page, the Forum's Facebook page. Tune into it, check it out, and go have a good time. Relive the 90s or 80s or 60s, whatever it was. Also, a spring craft fair at the Forum, Saturday, May 17th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., as well as the County's Fiddlehead Festival at the Forum on Saturday, May 17th from 9 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. The Marvelous Wonderettes, a musical directed by Darcy Fay at Whedon Hall at Umpy. Tickets are $12 per person, $10 per student and seniors. Available at the door, I'm assuming.
It's not me.
Not you.
No, it's
Okay, gotcha. Well, I would assume so.
I would assume
Anyhow,
so as
okay. So moving on, the city has the following employment vacancies: police officer and city manager. We also have the following vacancies for boards and committees. The assessment review is we're looking for a one-year alternate. The audit committee, looking for a 4-year member. Rec and Parks, 3 one-year alternates. Library, a 1-year alternate. Please see the city clerk for an application or apply online. The next regularly scheduled meeting for the Presque City Council will be on Wednesday, June 4th, at 2025 at 6 p.m. right here in the council chambers at City Hall on the 3rd floor.
And Mr. Chair, if I may add, May 22nd, the Presque Revitalization Committee is going to be kicking off our Riverside series on May 22nd with Wally and the Virginians starting at 6 o'clock. We'll have plenty of food, open entertainment. It'll be a good time, so definitely hope to see you there.
Lots to do.
Yeah.
Lots
And with
to
that
do.
said, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn and to go into executive session.
Looking for a second?
Mr. Chair, if I may, you
Please.
should adjourn after your executive session and note the time and get a motion for your executive, to go into executive session, and then adjourn once you've done all of your things.
Learning every
Oh,
day.
I am
Me
sorry.
too.
Never stops.
Me too.
Okay, so,
Do you need another motion?
well, I
Yes.
would need a motion
Okay.
to enter executive session.
Okay, well then I'll make a motion to enter into executive session for 1 MRSA 4056A.
Very well.
Second.
Motion made by Hank and seconded